This page is the front cover of SEGA Saturn magazine. The main focus is on a feature called SEGA Saturn Real Ability Cultivation Course. The cover highlights several games with text blurbs around the characters. Games mentioned include Falcom Classics, Mobile Battleship Nadesico, Neon Genesis, Evangelion Second Impression, Advanced World War, Groove on Fight, and Cyberbots. There's also a mention of Tokyo Game Show, 97 Spring, and a game catalog included. The cover features two anime-style characters in the foreground, one male with blonde spiky hair and a blue jacket with an eagle design, and one female with blonde hair in a green outfit holding an ice cream cone. It looks like a preview issue with various game highlights and a guide section. This page shows a visually striking and somewhat unsettling image. The central focus is a large, helmeted head, reminiscent of a gas mask or futuristic military gear. To the right, we see a green military aircraft with swastika markings, and the number 232 prominently displayed. The Japanese text at the top in red reads, quote, which translates to, "Everyone is reminded of the tragedy of this world. It is the iron battlefield of history." This strongly suggests a war-themed page, potentially related to the Advanced World War game mentioned on the cover. The imagery and text evoke a somber and serious tone, highlighting the tragic aspects of war. The SEGA Saturn logo is present in the bottom left, confirming it's still related to the magazine's content. The page seems to be setting a dramatic and historical tone, likely introducing or discussing a game that deals with historical conflict. This page highlights the game Advanced World War, Last of the Millennium. It's described as a grand simulation game set during the World War II era. But with a twist, it's set in the Millennium Empire and involves battles against German forces. The game boasts detailed strategic gameplay across vast maps, letting you command ground forces, air power, and more. Screenshots showcase both the strategic map view and 3D polygon battle scenes, emphasizing the game's blend of strategic planning and direct combat. They are touting a dual map system for deeper strategy, with battles unfolding in real-time 3Ds. The bottom of the page mentions polygon graphics and scenario variety as key features, suggesting a rich and visually engaging strategy experience on the SEGA Saturn. The game's price is listed as 6,800 yen, and it's published by Sega Enterprises in 1997. This page showcases the game Sotsugyo Crossworld. It's front and center with artwork of the main characters, who appear to be schoolgirls in uniform. The text at the top says, "Together with you," suggesting a game focused on relationships, or perhaps a visual novel-style experience. The page is visually dominated by these character illustrations. It mentions Shogakukan Production and SEGA Saturn, indicating the game is likely published by Shogakukan for the SEGA Saturn platform. It seems to be an advertisement or promotional page for this title. This page is dedicated to the SEGA Saturn version of Graduation 2. It's clearly advertised as a special edition, with a launch date of March 28, 1997, and priced at 5,800 yen. The page emphasizes that this is a SEGA Saturn exclusive version with unique features. The ad mentions that popular characters from the Graduation series are returning, and they've even added 2 new characters, bringing the total to 10. Specifically for the Saturn, they've included new endings for all characters like Kato, Takagi, and others, as well as a brand new original voice drama. They are even running a questionnaire within the game, offering lucky players the chance to win a voice panel featuring character voices. You can see screenshots showcasing the game's graphics and highlighting the multi-scenario adventure gameplay and the new voice drama content. It really seems to be positioning itself as the definitive Graduation 2 experience for SEGA Saturn owners. This page promotes the SEGA Saturn game Shinoken, highlighting its aerial battle focus. It's scheduled for release on April 4, 1997, at a price of 5,800 yen. A special campaign is advertised for early purchasers. Everyone who buys the initial release will receive a set of 4 exclusive Shinoken figures. This figure set includes characters like Suzuno, Benton, and Chichin. The page features a large image of a character from the game, and smaller images showcase character portraits and potentially in-game scenes. It seems like SNK and System Vision are really emphasizing this title for Saturn owners. This page is all about Stakes Winner 2 for the SEGA Saturn, and it's packed with excitement. It's being touted as the arcade hit fully reborn for Saturn, featuring both an arcade mode, which seems to be a perfect port of the original arcade game, and a deeply engaging training mode that's been powered up. The advert promises players can race overseas and become the world's ultimate racehorse owner, creating their own racing legend. There's a special offer mentioned too. For early buyers of Stakes Winner, they're giving away an original odds card as a present. It sounds like if you send in an answer postcard included with the PS or SS version of the game, they'll pick 100 people at random to receive this special card. This offer is valid until April 10th, so it's a limited time thing. Visually, the page is vibrant, with cartoonish horses and jockeys taking center stage, and there are a couple of screenshots showing the game interface and race action. The game is advertised as being on sale from May 1997, priced at 5,800 yen, and it's described as a horse racing action game. The developer is listed as Saurus. This page is showcasing Sankyo Fever Actual Machine Simulation for the Sega Saturn, calling it a Sega Saturn exclusive title. It seems to be a realistic pachinko simulation game where you can experience actual pachinko machines in your home. They are running a release campaign and offering original trading cards as a first press bonus. For a truly authentic experience, they're also releasing a dedicated pachinko controller for the Sega Saturn at the same time. The game appears to feature a range of pachinko machines like Crossing Fever Beach, CR Fever Big Powerful FX, Fever Ninja Picture Scroll, SP, and a few others. It was released on April 4th and is priced at 5,800 yen. Interestingly, they also mention a Windows 95% version of this simulation. This page is showcasing Free Talk Studio for the Sega Saturn, a radio DJ simulation game where you get to create your own radio programs and experience being a voice actor. It's being promoted as a unique simulation with full voice acting and a fantastic cast, including Mariko Kuda, who sings original songs specifically for the game. The page highlights that this game is fully voiced and offers a deep voice acting experience. Other voice actors mentioned are Aya Hisakawa, Miki Itu, Michi Sugasawa, and many more. Free Talk Studio is set to be released on May 9th at a price of 5,800 yen, promising a special Free Talk experience directly from your Sega Saturn console. This page introduces Dragon Master Silk, a 3D comical RPG for the Sega Saturn. The page screams excitement for this adventure where you suddenly become a hero. It highlights Silk's grand adventure, starting at age 14, as she sets off on a journey from her mundane life after being chosen as a hero to defeat the Dragon Lord and his monsters, diving into dungeons. The page showcases the 4 main characters with their distinct anime style. It boasts a gorgeous voice cast with a list of names, including popular voice talents like Mitsuki Yayoi, Yuka Imai, Akiko Takeguchi, and many others. The game promises over 60 hours of gameplay, with digital animation and dungeons filled with puzzles, even featuring auto-mapping. Dragon Master Silk was released on March 28, 1997, and retailed for 6,800 yen. As a first-time purchase bonus, you get 1 random original character sticker from a set of 15. If you're lucky enough to find a winning sticker instead of a character sticker, you could snag a super limited premium telecard. This page showcases Farland Story, a title from the popular Farland Story series, making its way to the Sega Saturn. The artwork is front and center, featuring anime-style characters typical of the series. You can catch a glimpse of in-game action through the screenshots, showing both map exploration and battle scenes. The page highlights the release date as March 28, 1997, and the price at 6,800 yen before tax. It's aimed at all ages, according to the rating shown. Looks like another solid RPG addition to the Sega Saturn library from TGL, who also released Dragon Master Silk on the same day as mentioned on the previous page. This page is an advertisement spread for 2 pachinko simulation games from Sammy for the Sega Saturn. At the top we have Pachinko Hishuhao Twin, highlighting 2 pachinko machines within the simulation, CR Gaga Ga Kids 4, and CR Kudamono no En. It mentions features like Blast Mode, and boasts complete simulation of these popular machines. The release date is prominently displayed as March 28th, aligning with the release dates of games mentioned on the previous page. Below this, the page advertises Pachinko Hishuhao 4, which appears to be already on sale. It emphasizes a private hall experience, where players can customize their own virtual pachinko hall using store settings. It lists several real-life pachinko machines included in this simulation, such as Cranky Condor, Fight Fires, and Arison Master X. Both games appear to be part of the Pachinko Hishuhao series, and aim to bring the authentic pachinko experience to the Sega Saturn. This page is an advertisement for a 2-disc Cledrom set called Red Horn, Planet Blue Truth Mythology, described as a CG art collection by Kazuhiko Tsuzuki. It seems to be a digital art book, possibly with a story element hinted at by the title and the phrase, "The Legend Revives." The page highlights a cast list featuring voice actors known for their roles in popular anime like Legend of the Galactic Heroes and Sailor Moon Trays, suggesting it could also include an audio drama component. There's a mention of a special bonus illustration data for the first pressing. System requirements are listed for both Macintosh and Windows, indicating it's a multimedia experience. The price is shown as 6,800 yen. It looks like a premium digital art collection aimed at fans of anime-style art and possibly audio dramas. This page is the front cover of SEGA Magazine, the official SEGA fan communication magazine, for the April issue. It announces it's on sale from the 13th of each month and costs 300 yen. The main headline screams, "High school girls love games," and mentions a feature on making game-loving girls happy. The main image is from The House of the Dead, with the tagline, "You must stop Kurian, or else something terrible will happen." This is highlighted as a urgent planning feature, hinting at a big article about the game. There are also special features listed, including the Road to Sega Ages Gungraphon, SEGA Saturn arcade game history seen in game flyers, special gravure Anakaji, and New Century Evangelion Goods Big Introduction. Other articles announced are Ogre Battle and Sega Arena are born, New Work and Continuation, Scud Race Twin, The House of the Dead, Columns, 97, and a 97 Spring Game School special feature. The bottom of the page has copyright info for Sega 1997 and publishing information from SoftBank. This page spotlights 3 books. Otaku Amigos delves into otaku culture and gaming, featuring discussions from Okada Toshio and others. It covers trending topics with fresh perspectives and includes a luxury guest section with contributions from various artists and writers. The B6-sized book is 176 pages and costs 1,339 yen. Dungeon Rouge Rhapsody by Sakata Jingako, a B6-sized book of 192 pages at 1,000 yen, compiles columns from Super 64 magazine, including comics and articles from a Game Freak manga artist. Lastly, Game Machine wa Daisy Daisy no Uta Yuka by Ono Fuyumi with illustrations by Mizutama Kinojo, also B6-sized at 240 pages and 1,000 yen, gathers columns from the Super Famicom magazine, exploring Tokyo urban legends and Showa-era gaming stories. This page is the contents page for SEGA Saturn magazine. It highlights a main feature titled SEGA Saturn Mastery Training Course, promising to resolve all your Saturn questions. The page also teases a special report section covering a bunch of upcoming games. In the special report, there's Falcom Classics, likely a collection of games from the developer Falcom. Then there's Virus, Martian successor Nadesico, Contra, Legacy of War, Advanced World War, Neon Genesis, Evangelion Second Impression, Sakura Wars columns, Groove on Fight, Sky Target, and Cyberbots, Full Metal Madness. It looks like a diverse mix of genres coming to the Saturn. Further down the page, there's a special feature on Shining the Holy Ark, with Takahashi Hiroyuki and Yamauchi Masahiko discussing the world of design work. Lastly, there's a special interview between Warp's Kenji Iino and Hideki Okamura from Sega, discussing Sega's promotion strategies. The page is visually dominated by an image of a female character, possibly from a fighting game, in a dynamic pose. This page details Sega Saturn news, including upcoming and recently released games. New releases include Ultimate Tiger 2 Plus, Emperor Battle, and several Sega Saturn collection titles like Virtua Fighter 2 and Dragon Force. Coming soon, software lists anticipated titles such as Metal Slug and Quo Vadis 2. The page also highlights a Sega Saturn Soft Complete Guide and features information on Sega's AM2 and AM3 studios, showcasing Virtua Striker 2, Scud Race, and Top Skater. Lastly, the page previews the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring Exhibition Game Catalog, listing attending companies. A game index provides a comprehensive list of Saturn titles with page references, spanning genres, and including games already mentioned in the article. This page continues with news and information, kicking off with an exciting announcement for Evangelion fans. The Neon Genesis Evangelion Art of Gallery exhibition. This event, starting March 26th and running until April 6th, is taking place at a department store and will showcase a variety of Evangelion artwork, including animation cells, original computer graphics, rare posters, production models, and dioramas, recreating iconic scenes from the TV series. It promises to be a must-see for any EVA fan. Moving on, there's also a mention of a Neon Genesis Evangelion Daily Selection, Laserdisc Caradrom for PC. This unique product offers daily changing Evangelion images, functioning as a desktop calendar and image slideshow, with customizable features. The page then shifts focus to the exciting news of the Super Robot Wars F release being decided for the SEGA Saturn. This is big news for strategy RPG fans, building on the popularity of the series, which started on Game Boy. This Saturn entry is highly anticipated. Finally, there's a section detailing the history of the Super Robot Wars series, showcasing a timeline of games from the original Super Robot Wars on Game Boy, through Super Robot Wars GEG, Super Robot Wars 3, Super Robot Wars X, Super Robot Wars 4, Super Robot Wars S, and New Super Robot Wars, listing their release dates, initial prices, and platforms like Game Boy, Super Famicom, and PlayStation. It looks like the page also mentions upcoming Super Robot Wars, trading cards, and merchandise to look out for. SEGA is hosting monthly Saturn Day events at Tokyo Joypopolis to promote new Saturn software, with the first event focusing on J-League Virtual Goal 97. Upcoming events include Dengeki Virtual Stadium and Fullcock Criminal Girl Squad Super Factory. A Sakura Wars song show is planned for July 19 to 21 in Tokyo, featuring 11 original songs and famous voice actresses, with tickets on sale April 29th. A SESA Premium Goods campaign offered exclusive items like Sakura Wars and Tokimeki Memorial merchandise to those who voted in the Tokyo Game Show Awards. The Formula Zero racing controller is being released for SEGA Saturn and Nintendo 64. Several music CD releases are also highlighted, including game soundtracks and character songs from titles like Tokimeki Memorial, Space Cowboy, Fighters Megamix, and Twinbee Paradise 3, offering a diverse selection for music enthusiasts. This page advertises the Virtual Caraseum 2 tournament for the Sega Saturn game Cyber Troopers Virtualon for SegaNet, marking the second online battle event using X-Band. It's a follow-up to the first Virtual Caraseum, which was for Virtualon Remix. This event aims to determine Japan's top Virtualon player through network battles. The tournament consists of preliminary rounds online followed by finals held at Tokyo Joyopolis, fitting in with Sega's ongoing Saturn Day events at that venue, as mentioned on the previous page. Prizes are quite enticing, ranging from trophies and staff jumpers for the winner, to Virtualon telecards and posters for lower placements. There's even a campaign pack being promoted that includes the Sega Saturn modem, Cyber Troopers Virtualon for SegaNet, and a media card. The page lists 5 games compatible with X-Band, including Virtualon Remix, Sega Rally Championship, Saturn Bomberman, Daytona USA Circuit Edition, and, of course, Cyber Troopers Virtualon. It also mentions players can customize their mecha's colors using 8 palettes. During the preliminary rounds, participants can expect mystery mail as part of the fun. For anyone interested in participating or finding out more, contact information for Sega Enterprises and a phone number are provided. This page, titled Books Review, is all about strategy guides for Sega Saturn games. The theme is Spring, Hanami, Drive, suggesting a season of enjoying games and outings. First up is the Daytona USA Circuit Edition Essential Strategy Guide, which dives into racing techniques, aiming for target lap times and optimal lines, with detailed course guides. Next is the Official Guide Volume 1 Scud Race, covering driving techniques, cornering, and car data. Both are aimed at improving your racing skills in these classic Sega racers. Then, there are guides for Haiba Securities. There's a hyperguide book and a visual guidebook. These seem to be related to a dating sim featuring beautiful girls, focused on schedule management, education, and communication aspects in the game. The visual guide highlights the beautiful visuals and artwork. Moving on to fighting games, there's the Fighters Megamix Official Guide, covering the game system, character strategies, and command inputs. Lastly, the Cybertroopers Virtual-On Perfect Guide is for Virtual-On fans wanting to master the game. It covers controller operation in detail, combat strategies, and provides visual guides and character data. In the pickup section, we have a review for a book called Otaku Amigos. This book seems to delve into otaku culture through interviews and manga, exploring the lives and interests of people in this scene from the 90s, covering anime, manga, and gaming culture. This page features MTV Groove on Dance, a program on MTV dedicated to the Sega Saturn. It includes an interview with John Robinson, who is introduced as a guest on the show, and someone who will talk about the Saturn. In the interview, John mentions he owns a Sega Saturn, even the Japanese version, and bought it on release day. He says he has around 15 or 16 games, but doesn't have much time to play them. When asked about his favorite titles, he finds it hard to choose, but names Virtua Cop and Daytona USA, and also Digital Pinball, Last Gladiators. He says he generally enjoys games that are often found in arcades. The page also details the broadcast schedule for MTV Groove on Dance, Sundays and Fridays from 9:30 p.m. to 10 p.m., and Thursdays from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. There's a small section describing MTV as a global 24-hour music and entertainment channel, reaching over 100 countries and 2.8 billion households, highlighting their global network and latest information. John Robinson of MTV Groove on Dance enjoyed Nights into Dreams, appreciating its charm. He likes Sega Ages games, praising their simplicity and sound, especially those in Panzer Dragoon and Last Gladiators. He views game music as crucial and considers game composers as artists, expressing interest in creating game music himself. His favorite Sega game is Space Invaders, due to its impact. He notes differences between arcade and home gaming. Robinson, also a Sega Saturn fan, hopes to create music for a Saturn game and wants to enjoy Saturn games with the readers. The page highlights the Sega Ages Memorial Collection Volume 1 release featuring Pengo, Head On, Up Down, and Flicky for 4,800 yen. This page is all about the Sega Saturn, with Tortoise Matsumoto and Yusuke Santamaria hosting a segment called Ryuku Sakusu. These two are hamming it up for the camera in police uniforms, looking incredibly enthusiastic. It seems like they're featured on Space Shower TV, a music channel, in a show called Sunset Dragon. Ryuku Sakusu is described as a non-stop 120-minute broadcast of music, movies, and guest talk, all centered around Sega Saturn games. They are highlighting the Sega Ages Memorial Collection Volume 1, which was mentioned on the previous page, and specifically the game Pengo from that collection, which they call Today's Fortune. The smaller images show these guys in action, playing arcade games and generally having a laugh, probably clips from their TV show. It looks like a fun and energetic segment promoting Sega Saturn games on a music channel, linking music and gaming culture. Yusuke Santamaria and Tortoise Matsumoto discuss their love for the Sega Saturn. Yusuke emphasizes the depth and life lessons in Saturn games, mentioning his intense Pengo sessions. He enjoys arcade action games like Die Hard Arcade and the immersive Enemy Zero, appreciating good demo screens and music. Tortoise Matsumoto shares his enthusiasm, admitting to owning multiple copies of Enemy Zero. He echoes Yusuke's sentiment on Pengo and praises games with great soundtracks, particularly Baku Baku Animal. He highlights the Saturn's tomboyish vibe and sound quality. He then reminds the reader that if they send in a postcard to Tokyo, they could win some signed color paper. This page showcases the top 15 best-selling Sega Saturn games in Japan for a particular week. Number 1 is Neon Genesis Evangelion Second Impression, a new entry that sold over 200,000 copies in its first week, clearly riding the wave of Evangelion's popularity. Second place is another new title, Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 2-1 to the End of a Universe, indicating strong interest in Gundam games on the Saturn. Notably, the original Neon Genesis Evangelion game in a new package still holds the third spot, showing the franchise's continued dominance. Other games in the top 15 include popular titles like Puyo Puyo Sun, Shutoku Battle 97, and Zap! Snowboarding Tricks. We also see Roommate Ryoko Inoue, a dating sim, and Sakura Wars Hanagumi Tsushin, a spin-off from the popular Sakura Wars series. Action games are well represented with Assault Suit Lanos 2, Fighters Megamix, and Dynamite Cop. Western titles like Tomb Raider are also present, along with visual novels like Eve Burst Error, and racing games like Daytona USA Circuit Edition. Finally, Far East of Eden, the Apocalypse IV, rounds out the list. The page highlights the diverse range of popular games on the Saturn, from anime tie-ins and sequels to established franchises, and even some Western hits, showing the breadth of the Saturn's appeal at the time. This page offers a snapshot of gaming preferences. The User Data Top 20 chart reveals the Sega Saturn games users most desired. Topping the list is Final Fantasy V2, followed by popular RPGs and fighting games like Dragon Quest, Oh My Goddess, and Dead or Alive. The Shop Data Top 15 chart highlights arcade favorites, with Virtua Fighter 3 leading, followed by Cyber Troopers Virtualon and Street Fighter II-I. Other popular arcade titles include Real Bout Fatal Fury Special and Dead or Alive. The page also promotes the new arcade release, The House of the Dead, emphasizing its immersive horror elements. Snippets of gameplay from various Saturn games and arcade titles are showcased, highlighting a mix of player demand and current arcade trends. This page shows the User Data Top 30 chart, revealing the most anticipated upcoming Sega Saturn games according to user votes. Grandia takes the top spot as the most desired upcoming title. With a whopping 465 points, it's an RPG, and development progress is still unknown. Second place is Virtua Fighter 3 with 361 points, a fighting game that's only 10% complete. And third is Biohazard 2, or Resident Evil 2 as we know it internationally, with 302 points and unknown development progress. Comments for the top three highlight anticipation and excitement for these titles, noting Grandia's potential and scale, the evolution of Virtua Fighter, and the expected zombie increase in Resident Evil 2. Moving down the list, we see other highly anticipated games like Downs, Sakura Wars Columns, Biohazard, the first Resident Evil, Mobile Battleship Nadesico, Mobile Suit Z Gundam, Dukyusei 2, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Machi, Sentimental Graffiti, and Lunar Eternal Blue, amongst others. It seems RPGs, fighting games, and adventure titles are highly anticipated. The Pickup Check Games section focuses on Machi and Sentimental Graffiti at positions 11 and 12 respectively. Machi is a sound novel getting attention for its Tokyo Game Show presence and new system reveals. Sentimental Graffiti is an adventure game that's 50% complete, with details on its first win volume being popular. Finally, Other Check, coming soon, teases two more upcoming titles. 04 Champ Doozy J Typer and Desire of Destruction. This page showcases the Reader's Race Volume 45, a popularity poll of Sega Saturn games as voted by readers. It looks like a weekly ranking system. At number 1 is Sakura Wars, an adventure game with a very high score of 9.4754. Following behind at number 2 is Even Burst Error, also an adventure game, with a score of 9.4666. Third place is occupied by A, which seems to be a shooting game, and it scores 9.3988. The Reader's Viewpoint section is discussing the popularity of adventure games like Eve Burst Error and Sakura Wars, mentioning they are dominating the rankings. It highlights that Eve Burst Error is particularly popular among adult audiences and is riding the wave of popularity from titles like Evangelion. The article also questions if Sakura Wars 2 will eventually surpass the original in the rankings. The page also includes a smaller section titled Midterm Gathering Point, discussing the gal game or dating sim genre and asking for reader opinions, indicating this genre is currently being evaluated by the readers. Overall, the page is dominated by adventure and story-driven games at the top of the readers' poll, showcasing what Saturn fans are enjoying and rating highly. This page from Reader's Race Volume 45 continues the Sega Saturn game rankings, though the detailed poll results are skipped. The focus is on reviews of new soft titles. Neon Genesis Evangelion, an adventure game, earns an 8.6111, praised for its integration of trading cards and appeal to Evangelion fans. Asuka 120% Gym Maxima, an action game scoring 8.3, is recommended for its faithful arcade action and accessibility. Taikyoku Shogi Gokumo 2, a shogi, Japanese chess, game with an 8.0, is noted as enjoyable for intermediate players, offering a good shogi experience. Finally, Hi-Pi Securities S, a stock trading simulation with a 7.57, is recommended for beginners seeking an entertaining introduction to stock trading. The page serves as a quick guide to new releases and their suitability for different player types. This page continues the SEGA Saturn Readers Race Rankings, but skips the detailed poll results to focus on new game reviews. Starting with DX Japan Express Travel Game, it scores a solid 6.6666 and is described as a fun travel simulation, especially enjoyable in groups. Next up is Time Gal and Ninja Hayate, with a 6.3333. The reviewer notes, it's a great arranged version of the arcade classics Time Gal and Ninja Hayate, and is accessible for both newcomers and experienced players. Funky Head Boxers gets a 6.25 and is highlighted for its unique boxing gameplay, where punches don't easily connect, requiring strategic thinking, recommended for those who like that style. Lifescape Inochi 40 Okunen Harukana Tabi gets a 6.2, which seems to be a horse racing themed game with a humorous title. The reviewer enjoys its minigame format and atmosphere, suggesting it for puzzle game enthusiasts. Lastly, Siberia scores a low 4.3. It's a shooting game, but the reviewer finds it technically adequate, but unoriginal in graphics and sound, ultimately not recommending it. The page also contains a long list under Odds Table C, which seems to be further game rankings, but without detailed reviews. There's a humorous side panel titled Reasonless Crime, Laugh, which is a light-hearted jab at player types and game rankings, mentioning a slogan about slot stop shooting being a paradise for low-score games. Finally, at the bottom, there's a small section promoting the upcoming Countdown Daigekisen Tokyo Game Show event. This page continues with game reviews, starting with Neon Genesis Evangelion Second Impression, which gets a very high score and praise for its enhanced graphics and gameplay improvements over the previous title, though some fans might find it too similar. Next is Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 2-1, The Blue Destiny, receiving a good score and positive comments on its solid gameplay and anime style. The reviewer found it enjoyable overall despite some minor drawbacks, suggesting it's a worthwhile title. Lastly, Penalian Story, Karubiel's Great Adventure, is reviewed, scoring lower. The reviewer feels it's a standard puzzle game with limited freedom, mentioning long loading times and unimpressive graphics, but still thinks puzzle game fans might find some enjoyment. Moving to peripherals, there's a ranked list of popular SEGA Saturn accessories, including various joysticks and controllers from different manufacturers like SEGA, ASC2, and Hori. The page also mentions upcoming game expectations and a reader survey event where participants can win SEGA Saturn controllers, with details on how to enter by sending in postcards with game reviews and predictions. The prizes include power memory joysticks and wireless controllers. The SEGA Saturn is promoted as a spring break special project, emphasizing that it's still worth getting into. This promotional feature highlights the console's versatility and affordable price. Now, half price in 3 years. It boasts a rich library of games, including GAL games, and upcoming titles like Virtua Fighter 3, Saturn exclusive, and promises an immersive gaming experience. The ad humorously references long play sessions and includes testimonials from young users. One user claims the Saturn made him popular with girls, while another says it helped her lose weight. The page also emphasizes the Saturn's popularity and media coverage. This page is a SEGA Saturn expertise training course, designed as a fun quiz to test your knowledge of the console. It's presented as a flowchart where you answer yes/no questions to gauge your Saturn expertise. The first question asks if you own a Saturn. If you say yes, it moves on to asking if you associate Sega with Mario, which implies a basic level of knowledge. Other questions include whether you own at least 10 Saturn games, know the launch price of the Saturn, and are familiar with games like Virtua Fighter 2, specifically if you can get Dural's golden version to appear, suggesting a deeper game knowledge. It also asks about the Sega Facts Club, Daytona's horse drift technique, attending toy shows, knowing the game Magical Shower, and owning the Virtua Fighter Pro controller. The page includes an explanation section which gives a brief history of Sega and the Saturn, mentioning it was released in 1994 and was very popular, selling 5 million units in Japan. It also talks about the Saturn's technical specifications, like the 256 kilobits of built-in memory and the option for a RAM expansion cartridge. The overall tone is light-hearted and encourages readers to test their Saturn expertise in a playful way.
This page continues the SEGA Saturn Expertise Quiz, breaking down Saturn knowledge into levels from beginner to super beginner. For beginners, the quiz starts by asking if you read SEGA Saturn magazine weekly. If not, it playfully scolds you for not knowing the magazine's proper name. It then tests basic knowledge by asking if you know the origin of the name Saturn. Moving to the intermediate level, the quiz steps up by asking if you can name all the staff members, likely referring to the magazine staff depicted visually. Then, it asks if you can name a specific character by their full name, and the image clearly points to Sagata Senshiro, Sega's iconic mascot from that era. The advanced level section is titled, Saturn Evangelism, Please Lend Me Your Strength, suggesting a deeper level of fandom. It talks about the SEGA Saturn magazine editor-in-chief, and mentions Sagata Senshiro again, referencing his iconic Oni mask, and the editor-in-chief being reachable by phone. This section encourages advanced fans to further their Saturn devotion. Finally, the super beginner level is a humorous, very basic step, simply stating, "First, let's buy a Saturn," implying that if you are at this level, you are just starting your Saturn journey. The page uses a flowchart format to guide readers through these levels, playfully testing their SEGA Saturn expertise. This page is a beginner's guide to understanding the SEGA Saturn, presented as a queue and a session split into 2 chapters. Chapter 1, titled, What Kind of Meaning is Saturn?, starts by clarifying that the name Saturn comes from the planet, not the devil, and was the project's development name which stuck. It then answers a question about different colored Saturn consoles, pointing out the white model released in April '96, before which the standard color was mist gray, mentioning also the existence of Vi-Saturn and HI Saturn variations. The page states Saturn sales reached 4.4 million units in Japan by the end of 1996. Regarding software, it highlights popular arcade conversions like Virtua Fighter, Nights into Dreams, and Sakura Wars, alongside unique titles such as Digital Dance Mix. Chapter 2, What is the hole in the back of the console for?, addresses common user queries. It confirms that the Saturn can play regular music creeds, including CDG format for karaoke, with features like voice canceling. It also mentions the ability to view videos and photos using optional accessories like a video CD card and photo CD operator, extending to even playing electronic book software. Finally, it explains the Saturn's relatively large size is due to housing the power supply internally and incorporating a cooling fan, essential because the Klydrom drive is susceptible to heat. Alongside the questions, a bar chart visually displays the sales history of the Saturn, showing a steady increase in sales over time. This guide expands on SEGA Saturn basics. Question 8 details the cartridge slot for save data, power memory, and RAM upgrades. Question 9 covers the back panel accessory slot, including video CD and photo CD options, with a high-end video CD player mentioned. Question 10 describes the communication port for data transfer, Game Boy battles with a dedicated cable, and floppy disk drive connection. Question 11 confirms home internet capability via a separately sold modem and the MITE network service. The guide then introduces Sega's R&D departments, including AM2 Research, known for the Virtua processor, and specializing in electronic warfare games. The CS division, responsible for consumer software, is highlighted with examples like Nights and Sakura Wars. Finally, it defines Saturn magazine terminology, arcade board names, Model 2, Model 3, AM2 Research, Fighting Game Basics, PK, Sega Mega Drive, MD, Simulation/Strategy Games, SLG, 3D CG Graphics, Polygon, Video Format, MPEG, Shin Megami Tensei, Mega 10, the Sega Daihyo Digital Camera, and the high-cost game developer group, GD-Net. This page moves on to talk about Saturn peripherals and answer the question of how many are available. Apparently there are around 18 different kinds of peripherals for the Saturn. They highlight a few key ones. First up is the Virtua Stick Pro, described as an arcade-style stick for professional use, emphasizing durability. Then there's the regular Virtua Stick, which is also arcade-style but more for general use. For games like Virtualon, they mention the Twin Stick, a dual joystick setup. For simulation and adventure games,
there's the shuttle mouse. Flight game fans can get the mission stick, an analog flight stick. They also mention the cordless pad, a wireless controller like a TV remote. And finally, the multi-terminal 6, which allows up to 6 players to play together. Moving to Chapter 5. The questions shift to Sonic the Hedgehog.
The first question asks why there isn't a new Sonic game announced for the Saturn. The article notes the huge popularity of Sonic on the Mega Drive and acknowledges the strong user demand for Sonic games on the Saturn. It seems like they are hinting at something in the future, mentioning Sonic as a Saturn character and a cool message, possibly referring to a Saturn magazine cover featuring Sonic. The next question asks about karaoke on the Saturn. They mention Sega's professional karaoke machine called Prologue 21 and suggest that home karaoke might be possible on the Saturn with optional equipment, but it depends on user interest. Chapter 6 explores Sega's distribution strategy for the Sega Saturn, highlighting its presence in convenience stores like 7-Eleven and Family Mart. The stores primarily offer Saturn software, including titles like Energy Flow and accessories. Distribution is handled by Sega United and Southern Sky, with new software discounts around 10%. Mail order is available through Sega Magazine, and character goods are sold through mail order and AM facilities. Sega actively promotes the Saturn at toy shows. Chapter 7 details Sega's history. Founded in 1978 as an amusement goods importer and exporter. The name Sega originated from service games. As of April 1996, Sega had over 45 related companies, including the Sonic Group. The Haneda location's proximity to the airport is considered advantageous. Finally, a rumor about Sega absorbing Sony is humorously dismissed. This page is from the advanced edition of the SEGA Saturn Mastery Education course, and Chapter 8 asks the question, why did the X rating disappear? It's in a queue and a format, answering some more advanced questions about the Sega Saturn. Question 26 asks about the Saturn's lifespan and durability, suggesting it's generally as durable as home audio equipment depending on usage. Question 27 clarifies why American Saturn games won't work, pointing to regional differences and encoding. Question 28 touches on older Saturn consoles potentially not playing newer games like Daytona. Question 29 explores why hidden techniques are published in magazines if they're meant to be secret. Explaining it enhances enjoyment and discovery. Games like Thousand Year Empire Story and Tokimeki Memorial are mentioned as examples. Question 30 asks about save limits, recommending power memory for those wanting to save more games. Question 31 clarifies the meaning of recommended for 18 and over, stating it's aimed at adults, not necessarily a legal restriction. Finally, question 32 addresses the disappearance of the EXA rating, attributing it to stricter reviews by video game software review organizations and a general move towards healthier game content. The page includes an image of a quirky alien statue next to a Saturn console and a game screenshot. There are also pictures highlighting the American Sega Saturn and the game Panzer Dragoon to illustrate the region locking discussion, showing the Altus versions of the console and game. Chapter 9 of the SEGA Saturn Mastery Education course analyzes Sega's response to the Nintendo 64 price drop. Key points are addressed through a queue and a format. Sega confirms the Saturn will not lower its price further, as it is already sold at a loss, contrary to rumors. Manufacturing costs are significantly higher than the selling price. Regarding future changes, Sega neither confirms nor denies a model revision, but dismisses rumors of a Pippin Saturn. Limited edition games are highlighted for dedicated fans. The chapter concludes with anticipation for upcoming titles. The page also includes images comparing the consoles, gamebox art, screenshots, possibly for Sakura Wars, and the data station peripheral, setting the stage for the next chapter, which focuses on becoming a game magazine creator. This page announces Falcom Classics for the Sega Saturn, a compilation of 3 renowned titles from the esteemed RPG developer Nihon Falcom. Published by Victor Japan, this RPG collection is slated for release in November, with a first-run limited edition priced at 6,800 yen and a standard edition at 5,800 yen, supporting single-player gameplay. The article explains that Falcom, known for its deep RPGs, has chosen the Saturn to revitalize its classic catalog. The collection, titled Falcom Classics, bundles Dragon Slayer, Xanadu, and YS, all onto a single CD-ROM. These titles, originally from the 8-bit PC era,
are being brought to the Saturn platform. Screenshots showcase gameplay from each title, including status screens and in-game action. The text emphasizes the detailed world and compelling storylines characteristic of Falcom's games,
highlighting their ability to captivate players within the RPG genre. It mentions that in the RPG world, titles like Ultima and Wizardry were well-known imports, but Japanese RPGs like Falcom's offer a unique and quality experience. The reviewer seems excited about the re-release of these classic Falcom titles on the Saturn, noting their historical importance and enduring appeal within the RPG landscape. In an interview regarding the SEGA Saturn release of Falcom Classics, Nihon Falcom's managing director, Yamasaki Shinji, and Victor Japan's general manager, Oki Masaki, discussed their collaboration. Falcom chose the Saturn to expand its reach, viewing Falcom Classics as a foundation for introducing their classic titles to a new audience. Yamasaki highlights Falcom's commitment to quality and hints at future Saturn releases like YS and Sorcerian titles. Oki emphasizes Victor's trust in the Falcom brand and the Saturn's potential. They believe the partnership will successfully bring Falcom games to a wider audience. Both are optimistic about the future, hoping to release more titles and cultivate a strong user base on the Saturns. A sidebar promotes the Saturn platform, mentioning its specifications and other companies involved, including Victor's Wangan Dead Heat release. This page announces the upcoming SEGA Saturn game, Virus, a collaboration between Hudson, SEGA, and Avex. It's described as a large-scale adventure game, slated for release in the summer of 1997, coming on 3 discs. Adding to the excitement, the soundtrack is being handled by Avex DD, promising top-notch audio. The page highlights a press conference held on March 13, where Virus was unveiled as potentially the biggest talking point of '97. The photo shows the people involved in the project at this press conference, including company representatives and a musician, likely from Avex DD, hinting at the game's multimedia ambitions with animation, CG, and sound, all aiming for the highest quality. This page delves deeper into the Virus project, officially titled Hybrid Adventure Virus. It highlights the development team's vision and the game's core concept. According to the development staff, Virus is not just a game, but a hybrid adventure, aiming to break new ground in the genre. They emphasize the game's high-quality animation and rendering CG, striving for realism. The page features comments from key people involved in the project. Takashi Tachi, from Hudson, talks about the game's development and high-quality adventure aspects. Toshiro Kizuka, from SEGA Enterprises, emphasizes the game's broad appeal and new entertainment value. Masaki Hayashi, from Avex DD, discusses the sound direction, focusing on realism and high-quality audio. Mahiro Matsuzaki and Takashi Kimura, both music producers from Favorite Blue and affiliated with Avex, express their excitement about participating in the project, creating the theme song and music. The game aims to be more than just action-oriented. It will incorporate puzzle elements and storytelling, creating a rich and immersive experience. They stress that Virus is a hybrid theme, challenging them to create new entertainment. Interestingly, the pop group Favorite Blue from Avex Tracks is contributing to the game. They are a duo consisting of vocalist Mahiro Matsuzaki and guitarist/producer Takashi Kimura. They have achieved significant success with singles and albums, selling over 8 million copies. They are creating the main theme song for Virus, which is expected to be a hit. The page also mentions their debut album, Dream and Memories, priced at 3,000 yen. This page is all about Martian's successor Nadesico, highlighting the game's unique battle system and adventure elements. The headline emphasizes timing action as the key to victory in battles against the wood lizard enemies, meaning enemies from Jupiter. It explains that battles are timing-based action sequences with movie-like presentations. Players input commands accurately to attack and defend, and faster inputs lead to greater attack and defense bonuses. The article suggests players get used to pad controls to master this. The page breaks down the game structure into adventure part and battle scene, focusing on the deeper adventure aspects. We get a glimpse of in-game communication with characters like Hikaru, hinting at relationship-building elements, where your choices impact character feelings. The page mentions that during battles, allies will offer support and advice, and building good relationships with other pilots is advantageous. There's also a section dedicated to the Estabalis, the main mecha in the game, explaining its features like the IFS, image feedback system. It's described as a next-generation combat system that mimics the human nervous system, enhancing reflexes and intuition,
allowing the machine to directly respond to the pilot's thoughts. The Estabalis is also described as a versatile machine adaptable to various combat situations with different body frames. Martian successor Nadesico emphasizes both romantic and platonic relationships for strategic advantage. Befriending male characters, like the reliable Goato and Jun, is crucial for support and emotional stability, particularly when female crew members are struggling. Akatsuki Nagare, a confident pilot with an interest in Eureka, is also introduced. The game features the uniform group, vital for support, and the male dormitory maintenance crew, led by Yuribata Seiya, who enhances the Estabalis' repair capabilities. Virtual dates are available through the private terminal, allowing players to initiate romances with characters like Yuri and Ruri. The Try Next Mission section hints at chapter previews, and the Details section expresses excitement for the Saturn version, anticipating its release and improved quality. This page features an interview with Ichiro Ono, the general director of Chunsoft, about their latest sound novel game, Machi. It highlights that Chunsoft is releasing this new title this summer, though the price is still to be determined. The game will be on 2 crids and is described as a sound novel. The interview reveals that Machi is designed to be played for around 30 hours to experience all scenarios. Ono emphasizes that even though it's a sound novel, which might sound like just reading text, Machi is an evolution of the genre, offering a deep and engaging experience. He mentions that in previous games, players could focus on individual character endings, but in Machi, all scenarios are interconnected. The game allows players to explore the story from different perspectives, with each character's tale being interwoven with others, making for a richer narrative experience. Ono believes that to truly grasp the full picture, players will need around 30 hours to play through everything. He compares the gameplay experience to listening to radio dramas or enjoying the Snatcher or Dungeon series, emphasizing the immersive audio and visual storytelling. The next page continues the interview with Ichiro Ono from Chunsoft about Machi. He explains that a key element of Machi is how one person's actions can significantly impact many others. He describes the game design as focused on the player's choices and their ripple effects throughout the narrative. He emphasizes that Machi is designed so that even seemingly small actions can have unforeseen consequences, affecting other characters and storylines. This interconnectedness is a core feature, making player decisions feel weighty and meaningful. Ono also touches upon the sheer scale of Machi, mentioning they used around 400 extras for filming and had a large production team. He notes the demanding shooting schedule, mentioning 40 days of filming with multiple teams working in parallel, and the challenges of coordinating everything. He also highlights the shift from conventional game design to a more real and documentary-like approach in Machi, moving away from purely software-driven elements and embracing real-world filming techniques. The page also features a section titled Precura Extra, which seems to be related to a promotional campaign involving photo booths, or Precura. It mentions a competition where they are looking for people to appear in Machi as extras, using photos taken in Precura booths. They are giving tips on how to take good photos in Precura booths for this purpose, advising on things like smiling naturally, and thinking about character acting while taking photos. It seems like a fun, interactive way to engage players and integrate them into the game world. This page showcases the game Contra: Legacy of War. It's advertised as a Contra Legacy of War title, described as a comeback action game, emphasizing its return after a 3-year silence. The page highlights that it will be released in May, though the price is still undecided, and it will support 2-player simultaneous play and multi-controllers. The text details the game's backstory, set in 2641 AD, 5 years after a massive human-alien war. It mentions a captured alien infant falling into the hands of a dictator, Basad, who aims to conquer the world. To stop him, a new Contra unit of 4 warriors is formed. The game is described as a military plus alien action experience, promising intense and exhilarating gameplay. The page also emphasizes the game's technical achievements, focusing on its powerful 3D engine to enhance player immersion. It mentions that the 3D graphics offer depth, improved camera angles, and a sense of presence, especially when using optional 3D glasses, which are said to increase the 3D effect by 5-fold for a truly immersive experience. Despite the length of gameplay, the page suggests the visual experience is worth trying. Screenshots show in-game action with 3D environments and characters, including some of the enemies and player characters. Overall, the page is promoting Contra: Legacy of War as a visually impressive and action-packed return for the Contra series on the Sega Saturn. This fast-paced, intense shooter promises a relentless experience across 3 stages. Stage 1, Urban Warfare, throws players into a city against hordes, focusing on blasting through enemies. Stage 2, Jungle Conflict, introduces insectoid enemies and a large turtle boss, emphasizing the use of guided lasers and special attacks.
Stage 3, River of Destruction, takes the battle to a water-based environment, highlighting unstable footing and the importance of impact-based attacks. The game also features hidden minigames, accessible via arcade cabinets, found within the levels, offering classic arcade and puzzle challenges for extra content.
This page introduces Advanced World War: Last of the Millennium, a simulation game for Sega Saturn that strategy fans have been eagerly anticipating. The article focuses on the game's campaign mode, where you play as a German general in a hypothetical World War III scenario, leading forces across Europe. You'll be fighting across vast battlefields spanning the Western and Eastern fronts, and even Russia, totaling 64 maps. The game aims to deliver a deep simulation experience, with CG cutscenes and a gritty depiction of warfare, contrasting romantic notions of war with its harsh realities. A key feature is the ability for generals to level up through repeated battles. As they gain experience, they learn special skills and enhance their abilities, which directly impacts unit performance and resource management. Screenshots showcase the game's interface, unit details, and battlefield action with tanks and explosions. The article also mentions the game's release date as March 20th, priced at 6,800 yen, and supporting 1 to 4 players in standard mode and single-player campaign. Overall, it emphasizes the game's strategic depth and the impactful choices players make in determining the course of the war.
This page continues the deep dive into Advanced World War: Last of the Millennium, outlining the game's campaign structure as a branching flowchart depicting the German campaigns during World War II. It starts from 19,391,940, with early war events like the Polish Campaign, Operation White, the Warsaw Offensive, and the Battle of Britain. The chart then branches based on player choices, leading to different scenarios like the invasion of France, the Battle of Brest, and Operation Sea Lion. Moving into 19,411,942, the focus shifts to the Soviet invasion and North Africa campaigns, highlighting Operation Barbarossa and battles in the Balkans and the Mediterranean. The game emphasizes the strategic choices, mentioning scenarios like Mediterranean Conqueror and naval operations with British Royal Navy aircraft carriers. Finally, the 19,431,945 section covers the decline of Germany, showcasing scenarios like the White Russia offensive and the overall strategic challenges of the late war period. Same by. The page also details unit types, showing images of tanks like the Stuart III, 7th Armored Division, and Crusader Area, representing British Allied forces in Africa, emphasizing the diverse units players will encounter and utilize in the game. It highlights the strategic depth and the various paths players can take through the campaign, showcasing the game's focus on historical and hypothetical World War II scenarios. This page continues the focus on Advanced World War: Last of the Millennium, and highlights 3 scenarios centered around the North Africa and Mediterranean campaigns. Scenario 17, Mediterranean Supply Line, puts you in charge of ensuring supplies reach the German forces in North Africa. You need to evade the Royal Navy and deliver vital supplies to the Afrika Korps. Historically, the page notes that Rommel's Desert Fox brilliance was often hampered by supply shortages, emphasizing the importance of logistics and warfare. Scenario 18, Gazala Box Battle Strategy, focuses on the land battles, depicting the German and Italian forces advancing towards Tobruk. The British have established strong defensive lines, and you're tasked with capturing Tobruk. The game hints that while Italian forces are present, they might not be very reliable, urging players to rely more on German units and focus on decisive attacks. Scenario 19, Mediterranean Sea Battle, shifts to naval combat. Here you command Italian warships against the Royal Navy, which includes aircraft carriers. The main objective is to sink the British carriers, with the Italian fleet consisting of Littorio-class battleships and Adoria-class cruisers. The advice is to concentrate fire to effectively sink the carriers, The page features game screenshots showing map layouts and unit types, particularly naval vessels. There's also a history fact section for each scenario, giving historical context, such as Rommel's successes and the historical performance of the Italian fleet, highlighting their shortcomings in naval engagements.
This page details scenario briefings for Advanced World War, Last of the Millenniums. Scenario 20, Amuru Farfa, puts players in control of Rommel's Africa Corps during the El Alamein battles, featuring the arrival of Tiger tanks. Players must pursue retreating British forces, mirroring the historical turning point of the North African campaign. Scenario 46, Winter Campaign, centers on the Stalingrad battle, challenging players to break a Soviet encirclement and rescue trapped German forces. Scenario 47, Red Army Counterattack,
tasks players as the Soviets to exploit their numerical advantage in a counteroffensive. A campaign mode wisdom section provides gameplay tips, including focusing fire, prioritizing targets, and effectively utilizing air units for reconnaissance and attack, emphasizing air power's impact on battlefield success.
This page is a special edition feature on Evangelion's Second Impression, presented as a queue and a section to help players. The first question addresses players struggling to raise their completion rate in the game. The answer explains that the game is designed to be played multiple times, and that simply making random choices isn't enough. Players should actively try different choices each playthrough to unlock new scenarios and meet all the characters. The second question asks why the story developments change in the latter half of the game, even when choosing the same options. The response clarifies that while initial playthroughs might seem similar, actions taken during battles, such as how you handle situations or whether you rescue characters like Mayumi, can significantly alter the later story paths and character relationships. It emphasizes that battle actions and choices both impact the story's direction. There's also a section about an Omake room, or bonus content area, accessible when you achieve a completion rate of 8 or higher. This unlocks the public use illustration library, which includes things like package art and promotional illustrations that fans can enjoy. It also mentions something called Earth Defense Band, which seems to be another visual element within this bonus content. This Omake room, with the illustration library, is presented as a reward for dedicated players who achieve a high completion rate. This FAQ section for Evangelion's Second Impression covers gameplay and unlockables. Question 3 offers combat tips, focusing on precise timing for evasion, urging players to anticipate enemy attacks based on their direction and to learn attack patterns. Question 4 addresses players seeking different storylines, emphasizing the game's replayability. Unlocking various scenarios like the Worst Scenario, Evening Bell, and Adolescence's Oratorio requires specific choices and fulfilling precise conditions, not random play. The guide then outlines the achievement requirements for each. A karaoke mode featuring original video footage and lyrics is also discussed, hinting at a potentially challenging unlock. Finally, a hidden trick to change the voice during name entry is revealed, adding a touch of unexpected content. This page delves into the trust system within the story mode of Sakura Wars Columns 2, breaking down how your character's trust level influences the gameplay experience. It explains that your trust level, affected by the Lips dialogue system, significantly impacts both the versus and puzzle modes, making the game easier as trust increases. The page details 3 key trust levels with visual examples. At 0% trust, the character looks displeased, and in both versus and puzzle modes, there are no special advantages. Between plus 20% and plus 80% trust, the character is in a normal mood, and in puzzle mode, you get a bit of extra time to clear the gems within 30 seconds. When trust reaches plus 100% to plus 200%, the character is delighted, and in versus mode, your kid gauge fills up 3 times faster. In puzzle mode, you also get a time limit increase by 3 times. Essentially, the higher your trust level, the more benefits you gain, making it advantageous to build good relationships in the story. The page also has a little corner box, with details like the release date being March 28th, the price at 5,800 yen, the genre being puzzle, and it supports 2-player battles. The next page introduces the basic characteristics of each character in Sakura Wars Columns 2. It breaks down the playstyles of 3 characters: Sakura Shinguji, Sumire Kanzaki, and Maria Tachibana. Sakura is described as a balanced type character, good at both attack and defense. She is speedy and can cut through with force. Her level 1 attack and defense are shown, and it mentions that if you are good at timing and can reliably set up chains, you might be able to win without relying heavily on level 3 attacks. It suggests that building up large chains to deplete the opponent's gems is an effective strategy.
Sumire Kanzaki is presented as having a gorgeous battle strategy. Her basic capabilities aren't drastically different from Sakura, but her attack power increases as you level up, extending the duration of her attacks. It is mentioned that she aims for efficient attacks by considering the gauge and being mindful of spirit points. Level 3 attacks are emphasized as powerful if used correctly without wasting spirit points. Lastly, Maria Tachibana is focused on early victories. Her attack power is determined by level, and the duration of gem destruction also changes depending on the level. For players focused on offense, level 1 attacks are recommended for continuous pressure. It is noted that her defense is somewhat weaker at lower levels, so keeping the field clean and paying attention to the opponent's moves is crucial, especially for experienced players who are good at quick chains. This page introduces 3 characters from Sakura Wars, Columns 2, Kana Kirishima, Lee Koran, and Iris Chateaubriand. Kana is a power-type character, relying on brute force and aggressive play to quickly build up to powerful level 3 attacks. Lee Kohran is a tactical fighter, requiring strategic thinking and defensive play to counterattack and win. She is suggested for more advanced players. Iris Chateaubriand is the defensive specialist, excelling in defense. With her ability to clear large portions of the field at higher levels, she is a good choice for patient players. The page concludes with the announcement of a comprehensive strategy guide commencing in the next issue. This page is all about Groove On Fight, a 2D fighting game from Atlas for the Sega Saturn. It's described as a maximum 4-player simultaneous play-action game, highlighting its unique selling point of 2 vs 2 tag team battles and up to 4 players at once. The game is said to be a successor to the Guketsuji Ichizoku series, known internationally as the Power Instinct series. The page emphasizes the game's chaotic and fun nature, focusing on character transformations, unusual special moves, and bizarre backgrounds. It mentions the release date is set for May 16th, and standard edition will cost 5,800 yen, while the extended RAM version will cost 7,800 yen. This suggests the game might benefit from or require extra RAM for optimal performance. There are screenshots showing gameplay with vibrant visuals and over-the-top action. The character select screen is also shown, featuring a diverse roster, including familiar faces from the Power Instinct series, and some question mark slots for unrevealed characters. The text talks about a head family leader determination battle, and that 12 fighters will be participating from all over the world, aiming for the leader's seat. It seems like a tournament setting is the core of the game's story. The page generally promotes the game's fast-paced, tag-team fighting and party game aspects, aiming to attract players looking for a fun and chaotic multiplayer experience on the Saturn. Groove On Fight features a unique set of game systems. The Vitality Meter, a standard health bar, dictates character defeat. The Shared Stress Meter builds up through damage and guarding, fueling powerful moves like stress shoots and dual attacks. The Battle Line is the main fighting area, while the Support Line houses the tag partner, recovering health. Partners assist with touch/support attacks. Special attacks include stress shoots, individual super moves requiring stress, and partner throws, a high damage move using a downed teammate. Support attacks bring in the partner for assistance. The Sega Saturn version, based on the STV arcade board with expanded RAM, promises enhanced graphics and original endings. This page unveils the cool clan characters designed by Murata Range for Groove On Fight. The diverse cast includes Larry Light, an all-around archaeologist with projectile attacks, Chris Wayne, a Goketsuji clan descendant wielding lightning, and Yukigami Kei, a swift ninja. Otogiri Remi, a musical middle schooler from the Goketsuji lineage, fights with sound. Falco, an older gambler, uses cards and dice. Hanakoji Popura, another Goketsuji relative, is a magical girl. Finally, Solus 8000, a future police inspector, utilizes futuristic weapons and a torpedo super move. The page provides a look at the characters' backgrounds, fighting styles, and super moves. This page introduces the Sega Saturn game Sky Target, highlighting its fast-paced aerial combat. It's described as a thrilling 3D shooting game set in the skies. The page showcases Mission 5B, titled North Sea, which is set in a frigid, icy environment with low-altitude combat.
The reviewer notes that there are fewer ground attacks, but many more enemy planes appear at once, requiring quick target locking. The game features a boss enemy called Gungnir, a heavily armored strategic bombing aircraft equipped with multiple Vulcan cannons and missile pods. The page emphasizes the visual impact of the game, with impressive 3D graphics and engaging gameplay reminiscent of Wing War, with one-on-one aerial battles as a core concept. The review mentions the game's historical context as an evolution from games like Afterburner in the arcade, leading to 3D shooting games like Glock and Wing War, and ultimately to Sky Target, using the Model 2 arcade board technology. This page continues the look at Sky Target, showcasing Missions 6A and 6B, which are city and desert stages. Mission 6, a city, throws you into a nighttime urban environment, making it trickier with buildings obstructing your view and more enemies to contend with. Mission 6B Desert offers a different feel, set in a vast sandy landscape where you'll encounter ground vehicles alongside aircraft. The page also highlights a few of the enemy targets you'll face. There's the armored combat helicopter Vajula M1, described as a heavily armed helicopter with a weak point on its main body. Then there's the hovercraft battle machine Claymore, a powerful hovercraft, and the combat-armed bomber Halberd. The reviewer seems really impressed with the game's visuals and exciting gameplay, drawing comparisons to classics like Wing War and Afterburner, emphasizing the pure fun of shooting down enemies and the overall satisfaction it delivers. They praise the graphical presentation and consider Sky Target to be a real highlight of Sega's shooting game prowess. This page is all about the Saturn version of the game Siberia, or as it's known in Japan, Cyberdoll VA Battle. It's an interview piece where the editor talks with producer Shugano about bringing this arcade title to the Saturn. The interview kicks off by discussing the shift from arcade to Saturn. Shugano mentions that initially, the idea of porting it wasn't set in stone, but fan enthusiasm and the desire of the development team pushed it forward. They even had to convince their superiors, emphasizing the team's strong will to make it happen. The talk dives into the game's design, especially the variable armor aspect, which seems central to the gameplay.
Sugano describes it as huge and emphasizes its importance.
The team is aiming for a massive scale with these VA battles. The interviewer and Shugano also touch on the sound and voice acting, mentioning that they've got talented voice actors involved to enhance the game. The page ends with the interviewer asking about the role of decadence in the game, to which Shugano replies, "Huge." The page also features screenshots of the game in action, showing the victory screen, pilot selection, and in-game battles, confirming it's a mech-based fighting game. We also get the release date of March 28th and pricing details for both standard and limited editions, plus info that it supports the extended RAM cartridge, suggesting enhanced graphics and performance. This page dives into another interview, this time titled Appearance of the Mystery Producer, and focuses on the game Cyberbots. It seems to be continuing the discussion from the previous page, but now with a marketing perspective. The interview features Tatsuya Minami, a development department producer, and Masaomi Sawada, a marketing team manager. They talk about the Cyberbots million on plan, hinting at ambitions for the game to reach 1 million sales. The interview touches on the game's development process. Minami mentions the initial idea came from Halo Crap, likely a humorous internal project name, and wanting to create something users would enjoy. He even jokes about inserting selfish titles. They discuss the sound and voice acting and character design, mentioning the voice actor for Karakteradeza no Nishimura Katsuya,
character designer Nishimura Katsuya, noting his voice acting is excellent and that his character designs immediately grabbed attention. Sawada, from the marketing side, discusses the sales targets and strategies. He mentions aiming for 100,000 units initially, and then pushing for 1 million. He talks about the user feedback being strong for Cyberbots, and the team's passion for the project. He also mentions pre-orders being at 500 units currently, and wanting to boost those numbers. The page includes screenshots from Cyberbots, showing in-game battles, and pilot selection screens, highlighting the mecha action and character roster. It seems they are confident about the game's potential, and are working hard to make it a hit. This page showcases a deep dive into the Blodia variant armor, which is likely from the game Cyberbots, given the context of the previous page. It details 3 variations of Blodia armor. First up is the BX02 Blodia, described as a balanced type and good for beginners. It lists moves like Gatling Rod, Full Metal Charge, Brake Shaft, Direct Press, Cyber X,
and Planet Smasher, outlining the inputs and effects of each. Screenshots show these moves in action, highlighting the combat and mechanics.
Next is the BX-07R Bryat, a rocket-armed variant noted for its drill-like attack options. Moves include Dynablow, Deathbolt, Riot Strike, Shining Arm, Cyber X, and Graviton Field, again detailing inputs and effects with supporting screenshots. Finally, the BX-04's B-Swordsman is introduced as a close combat type with a sword. Its moves are Slay Sword, Photon Splash, Gi Presser, Cyber X, and Crescent Tornado, with descriptions and images of the moves. At the bottom, there's a Q and a section asking, "Can Zero Guki be used by yourself?" The answer suggests Zero Guki is powerful, but may be too strong for casual play, recommending players try it out to see if they can handle it. The page seems to be aimed at players wanting to understand the different Blodia armor types and their movesets, giving a good overview of their capabilities within the game. This page dives deeper into variant armors, showcasing 3 new models: RF-004 Reptos, RF-027R Jackal, and RF-009R Lightning, which seem to be in the same vein as the Blodia armors previously discussed, likely from Cyberbots. The Reptos is described as a powerful unit, where each special move is strong, suggesting a focus on raw power and aggressive play. Some of its moves include Violence Wind, Satellite Force, Risky Nail, and Fatality Dunk. Next up is the R-Jackal, a speed-type variant armor that emphasizes body transformation, moves over projectiles. It boasts attacks like Diggy Boomerang, Heat Grapple, Jackal Stamp, and Laser Screen. Lastly, the Lightning is presented as a unique unit that uses spark arms, generating electrical attacks through a special power generation system. Its moves include Super Crew Laser, Rolling Gear, Thunder Rain, and Thunder Shaking. The bottom of the page has a Q and a section asking if you can choose 3 Vias. The answer indicates that, initially, you can't select these sub-character Vas, implying these new armors might be initially restricted. It encourages players to try the currently available Vs and hints at potential changes or additions in the future. This page introduces more variant armors, focusing on the 40 and Tarantura models, along with a brief look at Killerby. The FZ-100 for Ferdy is described as a small and agile unit with tricky moves. Its special attacks include Iron Nail, Sunrise Blade, Spiral Anchor, and Nebulous Dream. We see screenshots of these attacks in action. For example, Iron Nail is a needle-like attack that stuns opponents, and Sunrise Blade involves a large rotating body attack. Next is the FZ-202 Tarantura, a Crusher Arm type VA that throws enemies around. Its moves include Rising Tornado, Tarantura Stamp, Power Wrecker, Thousand Missile, Graviton Fields, and Falling Destroy. Screenshots showcase moves like Rising Tornado, where it floats in the air to attack, and Power Wrecker, used to slam enemies into the ground. Lastly, the FZ-900J Killerby is mentioned as a VA, specializing in laser and drill attacks for both close and long-range combat. Its moves are Killer Screw Alpha, Killer Screw Beta, Killer Sword, Killer Eye, and Delta Blast. The page also touches on character voices, noting that in the arcade version, voices were limited to win quotes, but in story mode, characters are much more vocal. It lists voice actors for characters like Jin Sao Tome, Mary Miyabi, Santana Lawrence, and many others, including Arietta, Devilot, and Dr. Stein. Finally, a question is posed, asking who decided on the voice cast. The answer credits the Capcom design team's illustrator, Nishimura Kinu, highlighting their significant role in shaping even the voice acting choices. This page showcases the Gul'dan variant armor types. It introduces 4 different models: the GPN-1 Gul'dan, GPD-2 G-Cyclone, GPV-4 GVISE, and GPG Typeon. First up is the Gul'dan, described as a heavyweight type with powerful grappling and throwing attacks. It has moves like the Garo Lariat, Garo Lariat Sky, Gal Wheel, and Cyber X, including the Gal Burning. Next we have the Ga Cyclone, which is all about drill attacks. This VA features a drill arm and attacks like Drill Cannon, Hyper DD, Cyclone Stamp, and D3 Bomb. It also has the Planet Smasher. Then there's the GPV-4 GVISE, which seems to focus on grabbing and throwing opponents with its vice-like arms. Its moves include Espressure, Capture Device, Edifoon, and Body Scraps,
with a Cyber X version of the Typhoon attack. Lastly, we have the GPG Typhoon, which uses a Typhoon-style attack. It has similar moves to the GVISE, such as E-Pressure, Capture Device, Edifoon, and Body Scraps, also with a Cyber X Typhoon. Throughout the page, you can see screenshots of these variant armors performing their special moves in combat. At the bottom, there's an announcement for a Cyber Batsu illustration contest, inviting readers to submit character illustrations in black and white or color on postcards. It mentions this is for a project currently underway within SEGA Saturn magazine. Finally, there's a section asking for submissions, possibly related to the illustration contest, and a deadline of April 11th. This page is a special feature on Shining the Holy Ark and delves into the world of design work with Takahiro Takae from Sonic and character designer Masami Yamauchi. They talk about the monster design process for the game. Yamauchi mentions his early work in illustration and how that influenced his approach to designing monsters for Shining the Holy Ark. Takei compliments Yamauchi's art for conveying a sense of movement and how they built upon his initial illustrations. The conversation touches on how monster design starts with common archetypes and then evolves to incorporate unique elements, with some difficulty in making pattern designs feel individual. Yamauchi mentions that he considers the form and movement of the monsters together during the design phase. The page highlights the creation of a monster called Breeder as an example of the design process, showing it go from a single rough sketch to a wireframe model, and finally a fully rendered in-game monster. It emphasizes how this detailed wireframe process is crucial for achieving realistic textures and movements for the monsters. There's also a section showing a screenshot of a shop in Enril Village from Shining the Holy Ark, showcasing the detailed background art within the game. The overall focus is on the dedication to detail and the thought process behind bringing the world and creatures of Shining the Holy Ark to life. This feature spotlights Takahiro Takae, Sonic, and illustrator Masami Yamauchi, key figures behind Shining the Holy Ark. Takei spearheaded the RPG mechanics, while Yamauchi designed the monsters, mecha, and world, drawing inspiration from Western horror for a dark, contrasting atmosphere. Yamauchi also contributed to the detailed scenario. They used polygons and textures to bring the monsters to life, aiming for a fresh take on classic fantasy. A prize draw offers an art book featuring Yamauchi's original Holy Ark artwork, including designs, sketches, and comics. Screenshots highlight Shining the Holy Ark's dungeon exploration and Shining Wisdom, emphasizing its gameplay. This page features a special discussion between Kenji Iino from Warp and Hideki Okamura about SEGA Saturn promotion. They're diving into the history of SEGA Saturn commercials and how the promotional strategy has changed over time. The conversation touches upon the initial impactful image of the Saturn, which Iino describes as being like the ring of Saturn, emphasizing a unique and distinct identity. They reminisce about early commercials featuring characters like Seagal and Antony, and how these ads aim to grab attention and stand out from competitors. These initial ads, particularly Seagal, aimed for a strong impact on viewers. Later, the conversation shifts to the present, and what they call Okamura's tone change (CM), suggesting a shift in promotional style over the years. This new approach appears to be less about shock value and more about conveying a different message. They discuss how commercials, like the EO commercial featuring Ino Kenji himself, are now trying to connect with the audience in a more meaningful way, ensuring that the Saturn's image remains relevant and continues to resonate with players. It seems they are reflecting on the evolution of SEGA Saturn's marketing and considering future approaches. SEGA is revamping the SEGA Saturn's promotion strategy, moving away from shock value commercials like Seagal to focus on connecting with core gamers. The goal is to resonate with the existing user base of approximately $500,000 by creating content that appeals to their interests, as seen in the EO commercial. Upcoming events like Saturn Expo are planned. Simultaneously, game developer Warp is relocating its offices to Ajama. This move reflects their commitment to innovation and creativity, evident in games like D and Enemy Zero, and is further demonstrated by the unique concept of a Japanese garden within their new, spacious office. The move is underway, signifying a fresh start for the company. This page is showcasing the latest and upcoming SEGA Saturn titles. Under New Release Title, it highlights recent games available for the system, emphasizing that these are titles to check out now. Games listed include Twin Cobra 2, a mahjong game called Jante Battle Cosplayer, a horse racing game Stake Winner 2, an Igo game, a pool game, SEGA Saturn Collection versions of Virtua Fighter 2, basic for SEGA Saturn, and several other SEGA Saturn Collection titles including Paku Paku Animal, Dragon Force, Rayforce, and a board game. Then, under Coming Soon Soft, it previews games that are about to be released, promising exciting content. Titles mentioned here as highly anticipated include Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Kumaiden, Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam Part 1, a game called Vardis 2, Planet Invasion or Vunt Lay, the visual novel Sentimental Graffiti First Window, Professional Baseball Greatest 997, New Undersea Battleship, Iron Wolf, Bust-A-Move 3, and other titles like Grand Red, God Phoenix Fist, and Metal Slug. The page is designed to get Saturn gamers excited about both what they can play right now and what's just around the corner. The image on the page shows a spaceship, likely related to one of the featured games, adding a visual hook to attract readers.
This page shines the spotlight on Twin Cobra 2 for the Sega Saturn, emphasizing its arcade origins and the exciting gameplay it brings to the console. The headline boasts 3 shots to master, detailing the different weapon types. Red Fang, described as a focused front attack that widens upon collecting items. Blue Smasher, a powerful wide-range shot that changes from red to blue with item collection and is effective against large enemies. And Thunderclaw, a forward-firing missile and homing missile combo that becomes a forward laser and electric shockwave shot for player 2. The page then outlines the game's stages. Stage 1 is set in a city, with rooftop battles against helicopters and tanks progressing to urban areas, and a mid-boss before facing a large aerial boss. Stage 2 moves to the sea, featuring ship and helicopter battles, eventually leading to a base on an island and encounters with vehicle units and a large battleship boss. Stage 3 takes place on a massive base, with ground-based turrets and challenging encounters, including 2 large tanks as mid-bosses and a heavily armored fortress-like boss that requires strategic pattern recognition to defeat. The page mentions the game is 20% complete at this stage, highlighting its powerful attack helicopter action, promising exhilarating shooting with shots and bombs to destroy enemies. This page introduces Battle Cosplayer, a new release title for the Sega Saturn, describing it as a futuristic mahjong battle game. It's set in a near-future Las Vegas, where a costume contest is the ultimate in entertainment, and players gamble in mahjong battles. Victory promises wealth and glory, while defeat means a life in the slums. The page details 2 modes. Story mode, where you progress through scenarios, collecting costumes by defeating various opponents, and free play, which lets you directly choose your opponent. Story mode features 15 opponents in total, mixing anime and real girls. Winning battles in story mode allows you to enjoy cosplay changes as a reward, with the ultimate goal of collecting all costumes. The game emphasizes its unique characters and authentic mahjong gameplay, claiming its mahjong algorithms are based on those used in PC mahjong games. There's a two-faced heroine, who appears as both a live-action actress and an anime character. A costume collection section shows a shop where costumes can be purchased with in-game currency earned from mahjong. However, continuous losses can lead to game over if you run out of funds. The page highlights the reward for winning, being transformation scenes, mahjong tiles, and dates with the girls. This page showcases 2 new Sega Saturn games. The first is Steeplechaser 2, a horse racing game that boasts enhanced freedom and strategic depth compared to its predecessor. It mentions improved 3D graphics and an arcade mode that includes both domestic and international races. Beyond just racing, it seems to incorporate breeding and simulation elements, allowing you to raise and train your horses. There's even an item shop and new systems added to the game, promising a deeper and more engaging horse racing experience. Screenshots show in-game racing action, a character interaction screen, and a glimpse at the item shop interface. The second game featured is Go Professional, targeting both beginners and experienced players of the classic board game Go. It's highlighted for its colorful and easy-to-understand graphics, along with a robust AI. The game offers adjustable board sizes, including 9x9 and 13x13, and a wide range of difficulty levels, 12 in total, catering to various skill levels. It also mentions customizable sound and graphics, letting players tailor the experience. Screenshots display the Go board in play, menu options, and customization settings, emphasizing its user-friendly design and professional features. The overall tone suggests a polished and accessible Go game for the Sega Saturn. This page spotlights a couple of titles and a programming tool for the Sega Saturn. First up is Side Pocket 3,
the latest in the billiard game series. It boasts enhanced realism, with motion-captured pro-player movements, and lets you perform draw and curve shots. There's also a mystery touch story mode and scenario mode, suggesting a deeper single-player experience. The screenshots show off the updated 3D graphics and a conversation scene with a character named Reina. Next is Virtua Fighter 2, as part of the SEGA Saturn Collection series, a budget re-release. This is the classic arcade fighting game, and it mentions Team Battle Mode for home play. The page highlights the depth of gameplay and arcade-perfect conversion, with screenshots of Team Battle and character select screens. It seems aimed at players who might have missed it the first time around and want to experience the arcade hit on Saturn. Finally, there's Basic for SEGA Saturn, presented as an accessible programming tool for beginners. It introduces sample programs that come with it, showing examples of polygon graphics and text manipulation. One screenshot is from a shooting game called Final Blazer, created using Basic, showcasing what you can achieve. The overall message is that even newcomers can create original games on the Saturn using this tool. The SEGA Saturn Collection's budget range features 4 titles. Baku Baku Animal Kaiser is a puzzle game where players match animal heads and food, offering a pet-raising master experience. Ray Earth Selection is a shooting game, a Saturn port of Ray Force, emphasizing lock-on shooting and intense arcade action. Dragon Force, a simulation RPG, allows players to experience grand battles with over 120 characters and a deep story across 8 scenarios. DX Jinsei Game is a board game adaptation with over 1,000 events and minigames, replicating the TV game show atmosphere. All games are priced at 2,800 yen. This page showcases advertisements for 2 games from Victor Interactive Software. The top half of the page promotes Yushun Classic Road, a horse racing simulation game that aims for realistic horse breeding and racing experience. It highlights the player's role as a horse owner and trainer, managing horses from breeding to racing in classic races like the Derby. The game covers in-game years from 1988 to 1996 and allows up to 4 players. Screenshots show various aspects of the game like horse data, training screens, race scenes, and even commentary from a racing expert. The bottom half advertises Sea Bass Fishing 2, a fishing simulation game emphasizing realistic 3D graphics and intense fight scenes when reeling in fish. The goal is to catch giant sea bass, and the game features Daiwa fishing equipment. It is scheduled for release on April 25th and priced at 5,800 yen. Finally, the page mentions Victor Interactive Software will be exhibiting their games, including these 2 titles, at the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring event. This Dream Access Reader Submission page covers various gaming experiences. Games of the Week features arcade game enthusiasts skipping school activities and a spooky encounter on a dark walk home. This week's Technicians highlights a glitch discovery in fighting games and pixel art created with a ballpoint pen. Parental Love expresses appreciation for Sonic Team and SEGA Saturn Magazine, recalling a cherished gift and a contest win. The Nights section humorously details a player's audio misinterpretations in a game. The Other Day recounts a Virtua Cop 2 experience, including eye strain and a sunglasses suggestion. Finally, Between Games tells a funny story about kids imitating Street Fighter characters, and the Brothers section celebrates a Brothers University entrance. This page is all about Saturn game character love letters. It's a reader submission corner where folks gush about their favorite SEGA Saturn game characters. We've got letters dedicated to characters like Nitopian, Merapian, and Super Merapian, expressing deep love and adoration, especially for the character's appearance and actions in Nights into Dreams. One letter talks about wanting to be hugged by the villainous but cute Riala, and another from someone calling themselves Moon, confessing their heart is captured by a character they describe as Wealth Taro Saburo-sama, praising their upper body muscles. There's a funny section asking, after shaving, does a mustache regrow? Likely referring to a character's facial hair. Other segment, Love in Borderland, focuses on the captivating eyes and voice of a character, expressing a desire to cross borders for love, even if it's just in dreams. Drive Kids shows a cute illustration of kids in a car, maybe related to a driving game. Then there's this week's What Are You Doing Nights? Old, which is a section for funny anecdotes about nights. Lastly, Girls Chit Chat Corner seems to be a queue and a section dealing with relationship advice and game-related questions among girls, with questions like, what kind of guy do girls like? All throughout the page are cute illustrations of Nights and Riala. reinforcing the focus on nights into dreams and its characters. This page features diverse reader contributions. Good Game highlights shooting games like Sexy Parodius, praised for its visuals but challenging, and Radiant Silvergun, lauded for its scoring and music. Barchadeo showcases reader opinions, including one praising polygon graphics and a game simulating cockroach habitats. The page also includes a 4-panel comic, Comic DAO, and a story from US Otsuki about playing Samurai Spirits E while sick. Seikyo ni Fuhu Koihito discusses relationships and games. A column by Yokchan, Retsu Tojima Yokchan 2 Go, with a monster illustration and a brief mention of Jack Frost and Gun from Hyogo Prefecture Analog Madness, referencing Precura goods and Zilbai design, complete the content. This page is a vibrant showcase of reader contributions, kicking off with this week's best one featuring fan art from Hyogo Prefecture. The artist gets props for a lively RPG-style illustration, reminiscent of classic games, using nice tones and posing. Moving on to Dream Museum, it talks about using tones in artwork and encourages sharing original creations and art materials. Then we have the This Week's Kana Award, given to Kaz from Miyagi Prefecture for their quirky skull character art, praised for its unique style and professionalism. There are smaller reader art submissions dotted around too, mentioning locations like Kanagawa, Iwate, and Kyoto prefectures, alongside comments about the art itself. One mentions Sakura Wars, another comments on Baroque and white effects, and another mentions Tomb Raider and the character's confidence. Bones is another section with a skeleton drawing credited to Tadashi Inoki. Finally, program information details how to submit your own artwork and writings for the magazine. They are looking for illustrations and software impressions, emphasizing black ink for drawings and clear handwriting. They want your address, name, and software title on each submission, and are keen on interesting and funny software reviews, regardless of length. The submission address for postcards is provided at the bottom right, along with a cute little comic strip about deadlines. This page is a mail-order advertisement for SEGA Saturn games and accessories from a store called Santa Trading. It's packed with lists of games across different SEGA platforms, including Saturn, Mega CD, 32X, and Game Gear, all available for purchase. For Saturn software, you can see popular titles like Panzer Dragoon, Virtua Fighter 2, Tomb Raider, Daytona USA, and Street Fighter Alpha listed with prices. There's also a section for new Saturn software, highlighting recent releases and pre-orders from around that time. Moving on, there are sections dedicated to Mega CD games, 32X games, and even Game Gear games, all with a variety of titles and accessories available. It seems like they are catering to fans of all Sega consoles. Besides games, they also have a section for Saturn peripherals, listing things like joysticks, memory carts, cables, and even special controllers like the fighting stick and multi-taps. It's a pretty comprehensive catalog for anyone looking to expand their Sega Saturn collection or gaming setup. At the bottom, there are instructions on how to order, offering payment methods like cash on delivery, bank transfer, and postal money orders. You can order via phone, fax, or mail, and it seems they are open for orders from 10 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. They also detail shipping costs and delivery times, emphasizing fast delivery and careful packaging. It's a full service for Sega fans looking to buy games and gear through mail order. This page is all about Sega Saturn's new commercial campaign and how they're aiming for a cool image. They've launched 2 new TV commercials, one for Professional Baseball Greatest 997 focusing on the out moment, and another for J-League Victory Goal 97 highlighting the goal moment. The tagline for the campaign is, "This is cool." Apparently, Sega did some research into how people see the Saturn and found that the key image they wanted to push was cool. They are using 3 key words to define this coolness: cool, artistic, and unique. These words are meant to reflect the Saturn's image in all their media and advertising going forward. The page also mentions ways to stay updated on Sega news. There's the Sega Fax Club for information via fax, the Sega JoyJoy telephone for automated phone updates, and monthly content updates for regularly refreshed info. They also briefly touch on SEGA Video Magazine, which is a promotional video collection, and Flash SEGA Saturn, which seems to be related promotional items. This page continues the Sega Saturn Cool campaign with more focus on their new commercials. It showcases screenshots from Professional Baseball Greatest 997, emphasizing the out in baseball, and J-League Victory Goal 97 for soccer, highlighting the crucial goal moment. Both emphasize the "This is cool" tagline. In the SEGA PR newspaper section, we get opinions from different personalities. Nangumo-kun mentions being exhausted from a TV recording shoot in a remote valley, finding energy by eating eel, and oddly relating it to the appeal of flashy ramen restaurants. Gamer Miki talks about playing Evangelion 2, enjoying it even with repetitive elements, and admitting to getting easily hooked on games like this. Newcomer gamer Nami is super excited about her birthday and the upcoming Evangelion 2 release, associated TV programs and events, generally expressing her enthusiasm. There is a big postcard recruitment section, encouraging readers to send in postcards for different segments, covering impressions, questions, illustrations, and other SEGA-related topics. Finally, a small box announces a giveaway of Evangelion second impression posters as a present for some lucky readers. The magazine opens with a reflection on the author's transformation, likely fueled by involvement with Varchar, Virtua Fighter. They yearn for their former, more relaxed self, contrasting it with their current, stressed state. The piece mentions a previous team battle in Nagoya. Next, Ikebukuro Sera's Virtua Volume 35 details upcoming events, including one at Gunma Sega World Buzz featuring Kyasafu, Shinjuku-jaki, Bunbunmaru, and Sera, and a separate event in Nagano. Sera humorously hints at a break from Virtua Crash, adopting the moniker Development Blue. The final section, this week's Yukun special, showcases baby photos of Yukun, celebrating his growth with anecdotes and adorable expressions. A call for reader submissions for postcards concludes the issue. This page is all about broccoli information, and specifically advertises the Cosplay Tour 97. It lists 5 upcoming Cospa-in events at various locations across Japan. The first event, Cospa in Twin Star 10, is on March 23rd at Shinjuku Twin Star in Tokyo. Number 2 is Cospa in CK Cafe on April 13th at Kyoto CK Cafe. Event number 3, Cospa in Velfair IV, will be on May 5th at Roppongi Velfair in Tokyo. Next up is Cospa in Maria Club on March 30th at Fukuoka Super Disco Maria Club. Finally, event number 5 is Cospa in King Mu on April 27th at Sapporo King Mu. All of these events seem to be costume play gatherings with a free drink system. Ticket prices are listed as advance tickets and same-day tickets, generally around 3,000 to 3,500 yen. Ticket sales locations and phone numbers are provided for each event. It's noted that these events are for those 18 years and older. At the bottom, there's an advert for the grand opening of a new gamer store in Shinjuku. It mentions they'll have limited edition FFV2, Telecard, and Tokimeki memorial goods available. Popular game series like Psychic Force, Star Gladiator, Waku Waku 7, Power Dolls, Soul Edge, Soul Blade internationally, and Dead or Alive are highlighted, likely suggesting related merchandise will be in stock. Store maps are shown for gamers' locations in Ikebukuro, Kyoto, and the new Shinjuku store, with opening hours and phone numbers provided for each. This page is the SEGA Saturn Software Databank, providing a guide to games with reader reviews. It covers games released from November 1994 up to November 1995. The page explains how to read the databank, which includes reader and magazine scores, genres, and supported peripherals. It's a great resource for Saturn owners to check out what other players and reviewers thought of different games. Looking at the games listed, you can see a variety of genres covered. In the November 94 releases, Virtua Fighter is listed as a top scorer. Other games mentioned include Myst, Wanchai Connection, and Tama. Moving into December 94, titles like Daytona USA and a series called Emit are featured. Games from 95 include puzzle games like Shanghai Triple Threat, and into April 95 we see titles like the RPG Shining Wisdom and shooting games like Virtua Cop. Guardian Heroes is listed in May 95, as well as Deep Fear, and in June 95 Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei appears to be listed. The databank gives scores out of 10 from both readers and the magazine reviewers, providing a quick snapshot of each game's reception, and also lists the game genre and compatible accessories like control pads, joysticks, mice, or multitaps. It looks like a handy reference for Sega Saturn gamers at the time. to help them decide what to play next. This page continues the SEGA Saturn software databank, listing more games with reader and magazine review scores. It's still in the same table format, giving release dates, game titles, makers, prices, genres, scores, and peripheral support. This section covers games released from November 1995 into early 1996, it looks like. We're seeing some big hitters like Virtua Fighter 2 and NBA Jam Tournament Edition getting very high scores. It seems games like Clockwork Knight 2 and Guardian Heroes are also still popular. There's a good mix of genres here, from sports games like FIFA Soccer 96 and World Cup Golf, to adventure titles like Zork 1, and even some simulation games. Panzer Dragoon Zwei is still listed, and seems to be doing really well with reviewers and players alike. The table format continues to provide a quick snapshot of each game's reception, and what extras you might need to play them, like a multi-tap for multiplayer games. It's still a handy guide for Saturn owners wanting to know what's worth playing.
This page continues with more SEGA Saturn game listings in the software databank. It's still in the table format, showing game details and scores. We see games like Action Soccer, Wipeout, and some puzzle titles. There's a mix of genres, including fighting games like Galactic Attack and vehicle combat games. Towards the bottom, we can spot titles like Lunar Silver Star Story and World Series Baseball 2, which got good scores. The page seems to be continuing to list games and their ratings, keeping it concise with the table layout.
This page continues the SEGA Saturn software databank listings. We're still seeing a table format with game details and scores. In this section, we have a mix of genres, with racing games like Street Racer Extra and Fighters Mega Mix, which is a fighting game mashup. There are puzzle games like Tetris S and action titles such as Galaxy Fight, Universal Warriors.
You can also find games like Die Hard Trilogy and Tomb Raiders. Toward the bottom, we see titles like Elevator Action Returns and Panzer Dragoon Saga, both of which received very high scores from the reviewers. This page keeps up the pace with a straightforward list of games and their ratings, offering a good snapshot of the Saturn software library at the time. This page continues with more game listings from the SEGA Saturn software databank. It's still in a table format, listing various titles with their respective software numbers. We can see a continuation of diverse genres, with games like Gotha, Isle of the Naval Battle, and Golden Axe, The Duel. There's also a game called Side Pocket 2, and several variations of Sakura Wars games listed. Towards the bottom, we see titles like Xanac, X-Xanac, and Zork I. The page seems to be a straightforward continuation of the index, offering a catalog of Saturn software available at the time. This page is a ranking of the top 50 games based on sound, titled 50 Sound. It presents 3 columns of game titles with numerical rankings beside them. Some notable games appearing in the list include Tama, Darkseid, Die Hard Trilogy, Tetris Plus, Daytona USA, Virtua Fighter Series, Bug, Lunar Silver Star Story, and Wipeout. The page is essentially a popularity chart based on sound quality for SEGA Saturn games, listing various titles and their respective positions. It's a snapshot of game preferences related to audio in a late 90s SEGA Saturn gaming context. This survey provides a response sheet for magazine readers. It instructs readers to provide personal details, name, address, birthday, desired present, and offer feedback. The survey utilizes multiple choice and numerical questions. The sheet features 3 tables. Table 1 lists articles from the issue, covering topics like SEGA Saturn and specific games. Table 2 details hardware options, including various consoles and accessories. Table 3 offers a software list, primarily showcasing SEGA Saturn games. The survey itself includes questions about reader demographics, gender, age, occupation, reading habits, magazine preferences, cover opinions, article interests, and Tokyo Game Show attendance. Readers are asked to identify liked/disliked items, and whether they own, plan to buy, or wish to purchase hardware or software listed in the tables. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Kong Ming's biography for SEGA Saturn, a simulation RPG, focuses on the life of Zhu Liang. Unlike previous installments, this game prioritizes character development and narrative, promising a deep exploration of Kong Ming's life, from his youth to key battles. The tagline emphasizes human drama and heroic charisma. The game will feature pivotal events, including the Battle of Boangpo,
with potential to alter historical outcomes, such as Guan Yu's survival. Scenario Chapter 3 specifically explores Guan Yu's death and its consequences,
highlighting Zhu Ziliang's leadership.
Character descriptions for Guan Yu and Zhang Fei are also present.
This story-driven approach differs from the series' typical strategy focus. The game is set to release on March 28 for 7,800 yen.
This page talks about the upcoming Sega Saturn game, Mobile Suit Z Gundam. It mentions that the release is delayed by about a month to ensure quality improvements. The developers are confident fans will be happy with the final product. The article highlights the game's focus on recreating the emotional impact of the original anime, emphasizing the story of Z Gundam. Gameplay features include cutscenes faithful to the source material, new Teta-type special attacks, and attention to detail for dedicated fans. They are also including new original animated cutscenes, roughly 45 seconds long, at the beginning of the game, promising to show famous scenes and Gundam MK2 action. The article also hints at gameplay featuring stages 7, 8, and 9. It seems the developers are aiming to capture the essence of the Z Gundam world in this Sega Saturn title. This page continues the information about the upcoming Mobile Suit Z Gundam game for Sega Saturn. It highlights the game's story mode, focusing on the journey of Camille Bidan and recreating key moments from the anime series. The page introduces several key characters central to the Z Gundam story. We see Camille Bidan himself, the protagonist, portrayed as a complex character who becomes a pilot. Quattro Bagina, known as the Red Comet Char Aznable in disguise, is also featured as part of the AEUG faction. Bright Noah, the veteran captain from the original Gundam series, now leads the Argama for the AEUG. Lastly, Jared Mesa, a Titan pilot and Camille's rival, is shown as a skilled pilot who will clash with Camille. The article then details the game's system, focusing on two main elements: the armory and energy gauges, and the pilot level and lock-on system. The armory gauge represents your mobile suit's defense, decreasing when damaged and recovering over time. The energy gauge is crucial for actions, and if it depletes, your mobile suit's functions will stop. You need to collect energy items to replenish it, making resource management important. The pilot level increases by defeating enemies, and higher levels enhance your lock-on capabilities, allowing you to target more enemies at once. The game also features special new type attacks as powerful offensive options. The screenshots on the page visually demonstrate these gameplay elements, showing the gauges, lock-on indicators, and action sequences in the game. This page dives deeper into the gameplay of Mobile Suit Z Gundam for the Sega Saturn, specifically focusing on Stage 7, titled Katz's Sortie. The scenario sees young pilot Katz Kobayashi, inspired by Amuro Rei's heroic actions in the One-Year War, eager to prove himself in battle. He's piloting the transforming mobile armor Gaplant and facing enemies in an area reminiscent of a bay with a large bridge. The page emphasizes tactical gameplay advice, suggesting players utilize the environment and shield effectively. It highlights that enemies come in formations and can be quite challenging. There's a focus on the Gaplant's unique transforming ability, showcasing its mobile suit and mobile armor modes, and noting its versatile fighting style. The review mentions the Gaplant's transformation is smooth and well reproduced in the game. Furthermore, the page introduces the support attack unit system, using the iconic Hyakushiki mobile suit as an example. It explains that clearing stages under certain conditions unlocks these support units, which can assist the player in later stages. The stage clear screen demonstrates how pilot stats like pilot level, energy, armor, and lock-on are tracked. Gameplay tips continue, urging players to manage energy wisely and utilize powerful weapons strategically, especially against groups of enemies. The Gym 2 is also briefly mentioned as a base unit in the game's mobile suit development lineage. Overall, this page provides a good look at the gameplay mechanics and strategic depth of Mobile Suit Z Gundam, with Stage 7 serving as a key example. This page continues showcasing Mobile Suit Z Gundam on the Sega Saturn. Moving on to stages 8 and 9. Stage 8 is titled White Devil Runs Through and puts you in control of Amuro Rei, who's facing a tough battle against the Ashimar. The game advises you to use the environment for cover and take advantage of your mobile suit's mobility. There's a highlighted gameplay tip emphasizing that in this situation, maneuverability is key, and the Ashimar's rifle is a threat. The stage features a large, transforming Ashimar mobile armor, equipped with a powerful beam rifle, forcing you to utilize terrain and strategic movements. Stage 9, Hong Kong City, shifts focus to Camille Bidan and his encounter with 4 Murasame. The stage takes place in a city environment and features the massive Psycho Gundam. The narrative also mentions the appearance of Mirai Yashima and her children, suggesting a scenario pulled directly from the anime's storyline. The gameplay also transitions to underwater combat, featuring marine Hyzacs as enemies and highlighting diverse combat environments within the game. Screenshots throughout the page visualize these scenarios, showing both Amuro's battle in a rocky terrain and Camille's fight in a city and underwater. Overall, the page details more of the game's campaign, showcasing different stages, characters, and gameplay mechanics as you progress through the Zeta Gundam storyline. The next page is an exciting preview for Kyojinse Danzai Quo Vadis 2 for the Sega Saturn. It's touted as a preview announcement to give us a taste of what's to come in this sequel. The page highlights the game's completion rate at 99% and confirms it's an SF simulation RPG for one player, scheduled for release on April 4th. There are sections teasing different aspects of the game's story. One section asks, 10 years and 2 months later, what are the bonds of the two people? Hinting at a time jump and character relationships. Another section, secret factory exploration, seems to be about infiltrating a secret GOA factory, showing off some in-game graphics and mentioning encounters with enemy snipers and powerful lasers. Then we have strongly rushed into, showcasing more gameplay in what looks like a base infiltration scenario, with descriptions of tense moments. A segment called Secretly Troubling Hilda's Actions focuses on a character named Hilda, suggesting her mysterious actions will be a key part of the plot, with character portraits depicting her. Finally, Reunion with Hilda Who Had Forgotten teases a dramatic reunion scene after 10 years, with the character Oven encountering Hilda, who appears to have lost her memories. The text hints at a complicated past relationship between them, maybe even a broken engagement. Overall, the page is hyping up the story and drama of Quo Vadis 2, focusing on intrigue, character relationships, and intense gameplay scenarios. This page dives deeper into the world of Kyojinse Danzai Quo Vadis 2, highlighting the massive orbital fortress of the GOA army and a special attack mission against it. The text mentions that warp drive technology is limited, so battles are mainly ground-based using assault armor. It questions why there are so many fortresses in the Sutia star system, and describes the conflict between the G.O.A army and the 8 Planets United Army reaching a climax. But it stresses this isn't the final scene. The page then focuses on a crucial battle, Felon versus GX. It looks like the pilot of the Oven assault armor, Felon, is facing off against the GX in a decisive battle. We get introductions to 4 types of GOA Army assault armor: the F-19C Fidelis, described as a standard type used by veterans; the M-20, a Monarch, a heavy assault type with powerful armor and reactors; the H-15 Beehive, specializing in long-range bombardment and suppression; and the S-17, a Siva, a sniper type focused on long-range precision attacks. The descriptions give a sense of the different combat roles these mechs will play in the game. Finally, the page explains that assault armor is the standard deployment for the G.O.A army. It mentions that the A2 upgraded model Fidelis is also included, and that the newest model GX is being introduced. It seems red machine units are intended to be sacrificed, but players will need to utilize their performance effectively to survive. This page introduces Sentimental Graffiti First Window, a romance simulation game set during springtime, a time of new beginnings for students. It seems to be a database software release, where players can explore various aspects of the game. The page highlights the game's focus on sentimental feelings and pure youthful relationships. There's mention of a digital movie audition for the game, where 6 voice actresses were chosen from a public audition, Voice Challenger. They apparently recorded audition scenes, totaling 16 minutes of documentary footage included in the game. The purpose of this digital movie audition voice is to showcase the chosen voice actresses, with messages and motion capture used to bring them to life in the game's digital movie format. Release details are also included. Sentimental Graffiti is coming to NEC Interchannel for 2,980 yen as a limited edition of 30,000 copies, and is slated for release on April 11th. The page notes a slight delay from a planned March release, and apologizes for it, mentioning that illustrations and audition footage are still being finalized. The reviewer expresses excitement about the game's release. This page seems to be showcasing the Digital Original Picture Collection and Digital Setting Collection for the game Sentimental Graffiti First Window. It highlights this release as a way to visually enjoy the world of the game before its release. The page features all 12 main heroines of Sentimental Graffiti, each with their name and artwork. These characters are Nagakura Emiru, Endo Akira, Ayasaki Wakana, Adachi Taeko, Matsuoka Chi, Mori Natsuho, Yamamoto Rurika, Nanase Yu, Sawatari Honoka, Hosaka Miyuki, Sugihara Manami, and Hoshino Asuka. It mentions that the Digital Original Picture Collection includes around 80 illustrations by character designer Kume Kito, and the Digital Setting Collection contains a substantial 220 setting materials created for the main game. The page suggests that these collections are a great way for fans to immerse themselves in the game's art and character designs while eagerly awaiting the full game's release. The tagline at the bottom expresses a sentimental feeling about always wanting to be by your side, even as seasons change, reinforcing the romantic theme of the game. The next page highlights the baseball game, Greatest 997 for the SEGA Saturn. It's promoting the game with a focus on the best order lineups for the Central League teams in Japanese professional baseball. It mentions that the data is based on actual player stats for a realistic experience. The page showcases two teams in detail, the Yomiuri Giants and the Chunichi Dragons, presenting their best order lineups along with player stats like batting, pitching, and tactics. There's a section with developer comments mentioning that the game is 100% complete and scheduled for release on March 28th at 5,800 yen. They also mention that due to opening day injuries, some players might not be available initially in the game and ask players to manage with the available roster. The game also features original teams, one of which is named Knights. Overall, the page is a promotional piece for Greatest 997, emphasizing its realistic baseball simulation and the ability to play with the best lineups of Central League teams. This page continues the feature on the baseball game, Greatest 997, showcasing more best order lineups for Central League teams. We now get to see the lineups and tactics for the Hiroshima Toyo Carp, Yakult Swallows, Yokohama Baystars, and Hanshin Tigers. For each team, they list out the batting order with player names, positions, and then a table of stats covering batting, fielding, errors, shoulder strength, and running ability. Interestingly, there's also a tactics box for each team, giving a brief strategy overview. For example, the Hiroshima Carp's tactics focus on strong batting and running from key players and leveraging chance situations. The Yakult Swallows tactics mention using pitcher Ike Mibe as a short reliever and focusing on defense. Yokohama Baystars tactics highlight a strong batting lineup from positions 3 to 5 and relying on Sasaki for closing games. Finally, the Hanshin Tigers tactics talk about rookie Imada as the leadoff hitter and Greenwell in the third spot, emphasizing a varied offensive approach. It's really interesting to see how they've translated real baseball strategies into game tactics. New Undersea Warship is a turn-based strategy game introducing its heroine, Annette, and her voice actress, Junko Iwao. The game is complete and ready for launch. The first episode, Nara Number Reappears, introduces core gameplay with up to 40 turns per scenario. Players capture cities to manage funds. Annette, an Atlantean girl, seeks harmony between surface dwellers and humans. The article includes an interview with Junko Iwao, discussing Annette's background, personality, and expressiveness, with Iwao also talking about her experience in other OVAs and classical ballet. The initial map near the Miura Peninsula tasks players with heading north. Annette fights alongside her brother against enemy Atlanteans, possessing both gentleness and a strong will. This guide provides strategic advice for the game New Undersea Warship. Key turns are highlighted. Turn 1 focuses on establishing visibility and safe retreats. Turn 3 emphasizes base defense against wave attacks. Turn 8 addresses surprise attacks with underwater units and caution against torpedoes. Turn 15 suggests resource bombing and deploying Reira number units. Turn 19 details confronting the giant UFO using raw number for defense and air power, and utilizing anti-ship missiles for serene strike attacks after weakening the enemy. Additionally, the page features an interview with Junko Iwao, the voice actress for Annette. She discusses her youthful-sounding voice and her enjoyment of expressive roles, linking her ballet background to body awareness in voice acting. She also shares her interest in computers, her personal website, and mentions a giveaway for autographed items. This page is all about Puzzle Bobble 3. It's highlighting that this iteration of the action puzzle game features new characters from Taito's roster, joining Bublun and Boblun. The game boasts enhanced versus modes, allowing players to fully utilize the characters' individual quirks in both versus and CPU battles. Interestingly, even in the puzzle mode, you can now choose your character, which influences the gameplay experience. There are 3 game modes detailed here. Arcade mode, which is described as being just like the arcade version, with over 500 stages and power-up elements. Challenge mode, where you clear increasingly difficult puzzles set by the CPU, with different puzzles depending on your character choice. And collection mode, an edit mode, where you can play user-created puzzle stages. The page also mentions a 100% completion campaign, and a message from the developers expressing excitement about everyone playing Puzzle Bobble at game shows and arcades. They are looking forward to seeing players at game tournaments too. The screenshots show gameplay footage and a character selection screen in puzzle mode, where you can pick your favorite Taito character. Puzzle Bobble 3 features 8 playable characters, each with unique personalities and attack patterns. Bublun is the balanced character, while Pritchie is tenacious. Musashi, the Bubble Master, attacks from above and below. Marina is strong-willed. SBM, Sonic Blastman, uses powerful yellow bubbles and difficult-to-erase Ojama blocks. Jaggy employs rose-themed attacks, while Chinkle uses rainbow bubbles for a sure-kill attack. Luna, a fortune-teller, uses UFO catcher-like bubbles. Each character has a distinct gameplay style demonstrated with screenshots. The page also includes real-life photos of Bublun and references to a report and picture-taking, highlighting the game's variety. This page highlights the upcoming simulation game Narrated, boasting a 90% completion rate and slated for release around April. The reviewer mentions the game is becoming increasingly refined, focusing on strategic elements and offering scenarios such as Tiger Den Operation 2i and Heavenly Kingstar Decisive Battle. The page introduces 2 new unit types: the Explosion Starship, an attack unit good for quick strikes and equipped with missiles and beam cannons, and the Thunder Starship, which excels in torpedo attacks and is effective against fortified ships. A strategy tip emphasizes utilizing SAM units, noting their effectiveness in suppressing enemy movements and creating openings in battles, especially on maps with obstacles. Screenshots illustrate gameplay scenarios, unit designs, and in-game events. The overall tone is enthusiastic about the game's progress and strategic depth. This page details the Basalt Go rescue operation mission in Narrated. The mission objective is to rescue Pal, who sent an ASOS signal from the Basalt Go ship, while being pursued by enemies. The page highlights key tactical elements like protecting the refugee route, deploying defense formations, and planning advance routes, visualized with a battlefield map. Strategy points are given. Firstly, players should ensure the smooth escape of refugees by not hindering their progress, using defense units and scanning effectively to maintain clear paths. Secondly, forcing enemies to descend to lower altitudes is presented as a viable tactic, suggesting the use of submersible and aerial units. Successful completion of the mission, marked as Operation Success, progresses the story, mentioning character Ganbo and the unfolding crisis of Liner Star. New elements are introduced, including a character named Balnikuisha, and the addition of Angel Ida to the battle. Furthermore, the Dragonalis unit receives a power-up called Dragon RA Drive. Finally, the submersible starship is unveiled as a new secret weapon, effective against fortified ships, utilizing torpedoes and mines, and boasting enhanced defense with temple alloy. The next page dives into the game Destruction God Susano, providing an introduction to Susano's special moves and CPU battle strategies. The page highlights Susano as a standard character in the game, noting his ease of use and good reach with normal attacks. It then delves into his special move commands, listing techniques like Dragon Fang Flash, Black Dragon Destruction, and Thunderclap Flash, showing the button inputs for each. Moving into CPU battle tactics, the page emphasizes the importance of mastering aerial combat. It points out that in Godfist, which is likely the game's genre or another name for it, aerial battles are crucial against the CPU. The guide advises players to get comfortable with fighting in the air, learning how to initiate aerial attacks and follow up with combos. Further tips include mastering recovery techniques, as the CPU is aggressive, and learning continuous guard to defend against relentless CPU assaults. The page also details the Creepu's behavior patterns, noting they tend to avoid projectiles, excel in aerial combat, and frequently use dash attacks, urging players to be aware of these tendencies to formulate effective counter-strategies. This page continues the strategy guide for Destruction God Susano, focusing on Susano's attack patterns against the CPU and strategies for specific character matchups. It details 3 core attack patterns for Susano. The first, the foot sweep pattern, involves knocking down the opponent with a strong kick and then following up as they get up. The second, the dragon dropkick pattern, uses the dragon dropkick special move to hit opponents as they rise or dash in. The third, the descent attack pattern, focuses on jumping attacks, which are hard for the CPU to counter. The guide then breaks down strategies for fighting against 11 different characters within the game. For each matchup, it gives effectiveness ratings for certain tactics and provides advice. For example, against Benziton, both patterns 1 and 2 are effective, especially in the second half of the fight, recommending moves like the Ryujin Great House Shocken. Against Sun Wukong, you should be mindful of distance and use triple consecutive hits, but be aware of counters. Against Chi-Chi and Nene, pattern 2 is effective when spaced, but be careful of being countered. Similar advice is given for each opponent, including Shutendoji, Ygritte, Sauten, Sheena, Susano himself, Behemoth, Iris, and Lucifer, focusing on effective attack patterns and things to watch out for in each fight. The advice is tailored to each opponent's fighting style and Susano's strengths. This page explores the human drama of Metal Slug, focusing on character relationships. It details differences between the Neo Geo CD and Saturn versions, with the latter featuring exclusive content. The page breaks down the key players: the PF Squad, Kelt and Chun, protagonists Marco Rossi and Tarma Roving, comrades, and antagonists General Morden, the villain. Other victims include Tomoko Suzumoto, seeking revenge, space aliens, and Ilka the Dolphin, all opposing Morden's actions. Screenshots showcase gameplay, highlighting tanks and characters. The overall aim is to introduce players to the world of Metal Slug and its complex character dynamics. This page showcases a SEGA Saturn soft complete guide and features a prominent image of a motorcycle game in action, with a bike doing a wheelie. The game appears to be focused on motorcycle racing, possibly Manx TT Superbike, based on the text visible on the bike itself and the smaller text at the bottom of the page. The page is likely offering a guide or overview for SEGA Saturn software, and this page is dedicated to this particular motorcycle title. The writing is in Japanese, and it seems to be an informational page about a software release for the SEGA Saturn console. This strategy guide, from the SEGA Saturn Soft Complete Guide, provides tips for the TT course in Manx TT Superbike. It's divided into sections A-D. Section A focuses on the start, urging players to accelerate quickly and maintain top speed. Section B advises using slide riding for corners 1 and 2 to maintain speed. Section C stresses smooth lines and avoiding unnecessary sliding in corners 3, 4, and 5 to maximize speed. Section D covers jumps, highlighting the importance of entry angles to avoid crashes. A course map with labeled sections is included, along with target lap times of 1:13 and a total target time of 3:40. The guide aims to help players improve their lap times by mastering specific driving techniques. This Manx TT Superbike Strategy Guide, sections E-I, focuses on advanced techniques. Section E stresses maintaining full throttle through specific corners, using the full width of the course. Section F warns against wall contact, particularly after straights, advocating for slide riding to navigate challenging turns. Section G advises sticking to the inside line in specific combined corners, prioritizing a wide approach to set up the next turn. Section H recommends full throttle slide riding in areas like the Laxey Coast, especially in tight left corners. Section I focuses on timing and straight line exits, using slide riding in a chicane-like section, emphasizing the importance of practice. The guide concludes by praising the standard Saturn controller, Marucon, recommending it for its subtle bike control, particularly for mastering slide riding. This text covers several announcements related to Elf games. Tama's Whisper promotes the upcoming release of Underclassmate on April 25th. The Elf Bulletin Board announces a UNO special disc with extra content for fan club members, and the quarterly release of the Elf Fan Club magazine. 16 Centimeters of Happiness highlights the release of Underclassmate plush dolls, each 16 centimeters tall, featuring 5 popular characters, slated for a May release. The 18-plus only section reaffirms Yuno's mature themes, describing it as a love story set in a desolate world, with an April release and book adaptation. Lastly, Elf Present details a giveaway for Yuno telephone cards, emphasizing the game's compelling story and new systems, and encourages players to enter before April 3rd. Word. This page presents the 6th installment of Welcome to Kadoi-sensei World, a 4-panel manga strip. The strip humorously depicts a girl comically falling over in various poses across several panels. In the alternating panels, we see a man at his desk, seemingly a game developer or manga artist, interacting with a woman wearing an apron. The conversations touch upon game creation elements, with mentions of a SEGA Saturn version, a PC version, and even a super killer move attributed to Maiko-chan, suggesting a playful take on game design processes or in-game mechanics. A small side panel at the bottom features a girl commenting on Japanese government and pollen, seemingly as a separate, unrelated humorous observation. The overall tone is lighthearted and comedic, using slapstick and character interactions to entertain. This page from AM2 Research Express Weekly Volume 45 is all about Scud Race Twin Type. It's an official announcement from Sega AM2 discussing the newly released Twin Type version of the popular arcade game. The page highlights some interesting points of this new version, including the initial entry screen, which they say looks like a screensaver, where players select their car, mission, and course. They also talk about how the driver AI is now more human-like, introducing the driver Antonio, who shows emotions like joy when winning and frustration when losing, quite the passionate racer. Screenshots show both the win and lose screens. The most interesting part is the introduction of a no-hand mode for expert players. Apparently, in Twin Type, there's a mode where machine performance differences are minimized, emphasizing pure skill. To access this no-hand mode, all players must input a command at the entry screen. This mode levels the playing field and focuses purely on driving skill, making it a true test of ability for skilled players. The car selection is done using the steering wheel and accelerator in this mode. The page mentions that Virtua Surfer and the current week's new releases are also briefly covered, though details on those are not provided in this specific page section. This page details content from a publication featuring the arcade game Scud Race and other AM2 projects. It showcases all 32 color patterns for Scud Race Twin Type, with designer commentary on each car: Porsche 911, Ferrari F40, Chrysler Dodge Viper, and McLaren F1, focusing on design challenges. There's also a segment on Virtua Surf, including humorous inquiries and an interview with discussing the game's music, sound design, and player feedback, including a reference to Virtua Fighter 3 players. Finally, the page announces a t-shirt giveaway, a collaboration between AM2 Research and the Satamaga editorial department, featuring a design by Nobuyuki Arai, and highlights Virtua Fighter 3 on the current month's cover, with comments from Kubo-san on character modeling. This page, titled Cyber Troopers Virtualon Xover and Cyber Sect Virtualon Light, continues the magazine's coverage of Virtualon. The writer adopts a humorous persona of a Virtualon evangelist. They playfully exaggerate the excitement surrounding Virtua Flyon and bring up Virtua Fighter 3 characters Ilka and Raiden in a comical context. A section titled Insect Bodies Are Hard, How Virtualon It Is takes an unexpected turn, discussing watching videos of insects mating and drawing a humorous parallel to the intensity of the Virtualon experience. The writer describes the sounds and visuals of insect mating in an over-the-top way, comparing it to a Super O's experience. Finally, there is a small advertisement for a beetle mating photo book by Kazumichi Fujiwara. The article appears to use insect mating as a metaphor, humorously comparing it to the intense and perhaps hardcore nature of Virtualon gaming and its dedicated fanbase within the subculture. This page is from Kato Hajime's Enthusiast Dojo and features a Mercedes-Benz SLK car review, specifically focusing on the Varia roof, which is the retractable hardtop. The review has a humorous tone, with writers using pseudonyms like Suzuki Doitsu and Kato Hajime. They are discussing the car's design and the experience of driving with the roof open. The reviewer, Kato Hajime, mentions that while he likes hardtops normally, the open-air feeling of this car is enjoyable. He also comments on the quality of the interior and the dashboard's design,
Interestingly, he compares the car to Virtual Karen, suggesting that even a car can transform. At the bottom of the page, there's a notice and recruitment section calling for submissions related to Virtual Karen for the Dream Access and Virtual Light Church Group sections of the magazine. They're looking for illustrations and textual content, particularly focusing on female characters that resemble Fayan from Virtual Lan, and also stories depicting Virtual Karen in everyday scenarios and even parodies. They are encouraging readers to send in their creations to the Virtual Light Church Group editorial department. They are also teasing the next issue, which will feature a big project related to Dokin, Bukigiri Charon, less than 3, and are looking forward to reader submissions. This page is a special interview from SEGA AMR&D department. Number 3. Focusing on their new game, Top Skater. It's described as a body sensation skateboard game, planned for release in April and running on the Model 2 board. The interview is with Hisao Oguchi from AMR&D department. Number 3, and it dives into the concept and development of the game. Oguchi explains that the team wanted to create a game that truly captured the feeling of skateboarding, rather than just making it a racing game. He talks about the game being designed to feel like you are physically skateboarding. The developers considered various elements like fashion, music, and sports to create a fun and engaging skateboarding experience. The interviewer also asks about why they chose skateboarding, and Oguchi mentions that they wanted to make something that gave players a real sense of body sensation from the start. He also mentions the challenges in developing cabinet controls that feel intuitive for skateboarding moves. The team aimed to create a game where players could express themselves through tricks and feel the thrill of skateboarding. They didn't want it to just be about racing. The page also includes screenshots of the game and a picture of Oguchi himself. This interview with Kenji Kano, director of Top Skater, highlights the game's core elements: fashion, music, and sports. The gameplay emphasizes action, allowing players to perform a variety of tricks using intuitive foot-based controls. Kano aims for player satisfaction through difficult trick execution and high scores. The game prioritizes a visually appealing experience, with a focus on character animations and environments. Key features include a dedicated arcade cabinet designed for immersive gameplay, and over 100 different tricks to master across various terrains. The goal is to provide a stylish and exciting skateboarding experience. The AMR&D Department Number 3 special interview focuses on Top Skater Check 3, highlighting sponsored characters. Keith is sponsored by AD.1, Jay by Etnies America, and Jill by Reef. Further characters, Ash, Vans, Kenta, Airwalk, and Cookie, Vans, also have brand affiliations. A column by Major Kato, AM Number 3 Freaks, analyzes the game's design philosophy. It discusses player types, emphasizing seriousness and individualism in game design. Kato views Top Skater as the best in this category, praising its excellent creation and unique qualities. He discusses game strategies and believes the game's potential shortcomings are negligible, showcasing its overall excellence. This page is an advertisement for the game Maria. The page is dominated by a striking image of a pale, somewhat ethereal woman's face, surrounded by shadowy, mask-like faces. The game title Maria is prominently displayed in a glowing, stylized font. Beneath the title, the text translates to "Maria lives in your heart," which gives a sense of the game's potentially psychological or unsettling themes. We can see that Maria is slated for release on both PlayStation and SEGA Saturn on December 12, 1997. And is priced at 6,800 yen before tax. The game is being published or developed by a company called Axela. The overall impression of the page is quite moody and mysterious, suggesting Maria is likely a horror or suspense title, quite different from the Top Skater game featured on the previous page. Maria is a psycho-suspense adventure game for the SEGA Saturn developed by Axela, focusing on psychological horror. Players assume the role of a doctor investigating the fractured psyche of Maria, a 16-year-old with a troubled past, who is brought to the hospital after a suicide attempt. The game emphasizes story and realistic 3D CG graphics, offering an interactive, movie-like experience with text message-style gameplay. The narrative explores themes of identity and repressed memories, promising multiple endings based on player choices. Scheduled for release on December 12th, Maria aims to deliver a mature and unsettling psychological thriller, with scenario writer Kiri Fukuda highlighting the game's focus on the human mind rather than gore, and producer Nobuyuki Jitsukawa expressing excitement for the project.
The game is rated for all ages and priced at 6,800 yen. This page is an advertisement for the Tokyo Game Show 97 special guidebook. It highlights the upcoming game event at Tokyo Big Sight, calling it the strongest game event of spring. The event promises various attractions, including computer games, an entertainment conference, a game event, a mini live stage, and a charity auction, plus much more. The central image features a character from Konami's popular Powerful Pro Baseball series, recognizable by the K on his baseball cap and the surrounding Powerful Proyaku text. The advert also features logos for the PlayStation, SEGA Saturn Magazine, and SESA, the Computer Entertainment Software Association, indicating their involvement or sponsorship of the event. The 1997 Spring Tokyo Game Show text further confirms the time and season of this event. It's clearly an exciting announcement for gamers looking forward to the spring gaming event in Tokyo. This page showcases a delightful image of a smiling elderly woman thoroughly enjoying a Sega Saturn game, accompanied by the encouraging message, "Go for it, Sega." It seems to be a celebratory announcement for the third All-Japan Puyo Puyo Masters Tournament. The page promotes the convenience of buying games at local convenience stores, displaying logos for well-known chains like 7-Eleven, Family Mart, Circle K, and Sunkus, and also mentions their availability in Shikoku supermarkets. Featured prominently are game boxes for Sega Saturn hits including Puyo Puyo Sun, Daytona USA Circuit Edition, Far East of Eden, The Apocalypse IV, and Enemy Zero, all presented as games you can easily pick up. This page is all about celebrating the Saturn user. We see a happy kid really getting into a game on his Saturn console. The page seems to be announcing an event happening on March 30th, a Sunday, starting from 10 a.m. at Makuhari Messe. And it's mentioning that entries are being accepted now. There's a phone number for inquiries as well. Down at the bottom, it's showing off some game titles available at convenience stores, continuing the theme from the previous page. For the Saturn, they're highlighting Digital Dance Mix Volume 1. For PlayStation, they are showing Power Stakes, Tobal 2, Final Fantasy V2, mistakenly listed as IV, Bushido Blade, and Mahjong Hao Shin, Prologue. They've got the release dates and prices listed for each of these, along with who made them. It's a good mix of genres for players to grab easily. This page is excitedly promoting the third Puyo Masters Tournament. It's a nationwide event with various categories for everyone from general players to juniors, ladies, nice middle-aged players over 30, silver players over 60, even a category for media folks, plus voice actor auditions, cosplay, and a Grand Master Championship. The event seems to be packed with stuff beyond just the tournament too, like a live performance by Tanaka Katsumi, a temporary Puyo Puyo themed shop, a Mato Comiket, and other attractions. Below all the event info, they are still showcasing games you can grab at convenience stores, but this time they're highlighting PlayStation titles. There's a bunch of them listed, including titles like New Theme Park, Final Fantasy V2, Super Robot Wars IV, and Wild Arms, which are all RPG and strategy games. Then you have some action with Parappa, The Rapper, horse racing with Gallop Racer, and the RPG Ray Earth. They've also got puzzle action with Puyo Puyo Tsu Kateban, and classic arcade hits with Namco Museum Volume 4. Rounding out the list is Wrestling with New Japan Pro Wrestling Tukan Densa Eitsu 2, Fighting with Soul Edge, Horror with Clockwork Tower 2, Cute Platforming with Gugu Vaki, and Racing with Formula 1. It's a pretty wide selection of games across genres. This page emphasizes that if you're buying games, the convenience store is the place to go. It's advertising game sales at convenience stores, expanding on the previous page's mention. Visually, it's got a smiling woman joyfully playing a Sega Saturn, really selling the fun of gaming. There's also a box art image for Puyo Puyo Sun, likely one of the featured games available. They're also still pushing tickets for the big Puyo Puyo tournament, listing entrance ticket prices for advance purchase and day of sales, with different rates for adults, children, parent, and pair tickets. It looks like you could get your tournament entry sorted at the same convenience stores where you grab your games. Speaking of convenience stores, the page highlights several major chains where you can find these game deals: 7-Eleven, Family Mart, Circle K, and Sunkus. In the fine print, they mention some specific titles available at convenience stores, including Final Fantasy V2, Digital Dance Mix featuring Nami Amuro, Pro Logic Mahjong, Bushido Blade, Final Fantasy IV, Toval 2, and Power Stakes. So it seems like a good range of games are readily available when you're out and about at your local convenience store. This page is the floor plan for Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring. It's a layout of the event space, divided into two main blocks, B and Circa Block C, called the East Hall 3, features booths for companies like Konami and King Records. Block B, the East Hall 2, includes Electronic Arts Victor, Daiki, Shogakukan Productions, and Culture Brain. Below the floor plan, there's event information. Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring runs from April 5th to 6th, 1997, open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., with last entry at 4 p.m. It's held at Tokyo Big Site, in halls 1, 2, and 3. Tickets are 800 yen in advance, and 1,000 yen on the day for adults and high school students, with junior high and elementary school kids getting in for 800 yen on the day. Children younger than that are free. Organizers are listed as the Computer Entertainment Software Association, SESA, and co-organizers are Tsushin Sangyo Times. Special cooperation is from NTT. Contact information is provided for Tokyo Game Show Event Administration. Finally, at the bottom right, there are access details to the Tokyo International Exhibition Center, Tokyo Big Site. It lists 5 transportation methods: bus, Rinkai, Fukutoshin Line train, Tokyo Waterfront, New Transit Waterfront Line, Yurikamome Line, and car, providing estimated travel times and routes from major stations. This page continues the floor plan for Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring, this time focusing on a block, which is located in East Hall 1. It's basically a directory, listing all the exhibitors in this section and their booth numbers. You can see some really big names here like Square, Capcom, and Enix all lined up. SEGA and Sony are also here, alongside companies like Namco, Hudson, Bandai, and BMG Japan. It gives you a clear idea of who is going to be showing off their stuff in East Hall 1. There's also a small image of a bustling crowd at the show, and a colorful cartoon advert for the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring itself, promoting the new semester of games. At the bottom right, there's a section explaining what SESA is. It says SESA, which is the Computer Entertainment Software Association, is an organization formed by companies involved in the computer entertainment software industry, like for consoles and SIACs, to work together on common issues. It mentions that this Tokyo Game Show 97 aims to transcend the boundaries of hardware, and is an event that only SESA could make happen. The Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring schedule is split into 2 days: Creators Day, April 5th, and Characters Day, April 6th. Creators Day features conferences with prominent game developers, discussing new game styles and the dreams behind games. Key speakers include Kojima Hideo and Yu Suzuki, moderated by editors from Dengeki PlayStation and Famitsu. The day also includes the SESA Awards 96 and an NAAA charity auction. Characters Day showcases voice actors and related events. It begins with a guest corner featuring voice actresses, followed by an open radio recording session. Later events include a voice actor talk battle, a live performance, a cosplay parade, and another AAA charity auction, culminating in an ending finale. The schedule is subject to change. The SESA Awards 96, to be announced at the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring on April 5th, features nominations across 20 categories. These are divided into Game Genre Awards and Department Awards. Action game nominees include Super Mario 64 and Parappa the Rapper, while RPGs feature Dragon Quest Vi and Pokemon. Other genres like sports, simulation, puzzle, adventure, driving, shooting, table, fighting, education, and variety games are also represented. Department Awards include nominations for directing, Sakura Wars, Super Mario 64, programming, scenario, graphics, sound, main character, and sub-character. The SESA Grand Prize will be awarded to one overall winner selected from the nominated games. The award ceremony will be a special event during the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring. This page showcases Konami's booth at Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring. They are highlighting the theme of new encounters, with a large playable area featuring over 80 game consoles and more than 20 titles to experience. The playable booth area includes upcoming games like Mystical Ninja starring Goemon on 64, Azalina, Azure Dreams on PlayStation, and Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 1, Rainbow-Colored Youths on PlayStation and Windows 95. The Entertainment Corner will focus on powered-up Konami 64 software and latest information, and a feature on Metal Gear Solid for PlayStation, with commentary from director Hideo Kojima and new footage. They are also hosting tournaments for Power Pro's Home Run Contest and Poiter's Point on PlayStation. Konami also mentions a public broadcast from their DBFM radio program on March 17th, with personalities Kanae Kanemaru and Yurika Nagakura, promising talk and live performances. There's also Konami original merchandise and Tokimeki memorial goods available for purchase at the Konami shop and through mail order from Entertainment Club. Visitors can also expect special gifts at the booth. The next page is an advertisement for Jante Battle Cosplayer on the SEGA Saturn, published by Daiki. The tagline is all about getting beautiful girl characters and not being too cool, which suggests a lighthearted and fan service-oriented title. It's described as an anime and live-action character. Anime live-action shooting love mahjong battle, featuring popular voice actors and a cast of 18 anime characters and 8 idols. This game is hitting stores in April 97 for 6,800 yen. Pre-ordering gets you a cool bonus, an original poster, and an original source, CD. There are also campaigns running to celebrate the release. One is a 10,000 yen prize draw for people who buy the game in April 97. There's also a crossword puzzle campaign where you can win prizes. Plus, if you buy the soundtrack CD, you also get a special CD as a bonus. Looks like Daiki is pulling out all the stops to get people playing this mahjong game. This page offers a sneak peek into Square's booth at the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring. They are showcasing a bunch of exciting upcoming titles, mainly RPGs and fighting games. On the RPG side, they've got demos for the highly anticipated Final Fantasy Tactics, Saga Frontier, and even Final Fantasy IV, which is interesting as maybe it's a remake or re-release they're showing off. For fighting game fans, they've got Bushido Blade and Tobal 2 playable. They even mention that Bushido Blade will have a communication battle mode available to try out, meaning multiplayer. Square's also running a Play It Rally event, where attendees can win exclusive Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring goods. Definitely something you'd want to get your hands on. Square's also hosting stage events focused on Bushido Blade and Tobal 2 tournaments. The Bushido Blade Tourney is a big 100-person event using a special version of the game specifically for character versus battles.
Winners can expect some great prizes.
For Tobal 2, the tournament has a cool twist.
You might get to face off against Shinjuku Jackie, a famous editor from Famitsu magazine. If you can beat him, you can win Tomaibol 2 original goods. So it sounds like Square's booth at the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring is definitely the place to be for RPG and fighting game fans to get a taste of their upcoming hits and maybe even win some cool stuff. This page is a full-page advertisement for the brand new theme park game from Electronic Arts Victor. It's being released on April 11th for both PlayStation and SEGA Saturn at a price of 5,800 yen, not including tax. The ad copy emphasizes how incredibly addictive the new theme park is going to be, saying, "You'll be completely hooked." It boasts that this is a major upgrade to the original game, now fully in 3Ds, allowing you to build and run your dream amusement park. The tagline asks, what kind of amusement park will you create? Quote, inviting players to dive in and get creative. The image shows a very enthusiastic woman deeply engrossed in playing the game with a SEGA Saturn controller, really selling the fun and engaging experience. This page introduces Capcom's booth at the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring with the concept of a Dream Kingdom. Capcom is inviting everyone to experience a dreamlike showcase. They're highlighting upcoming titles, including the brand new Mega Man Battle and Chase, celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Mega Man series, alongside other Mega Man games like Mega Man X4 and Mega Man 8. Arcade titles Marvel Super Heroes and Cyberbots are also featured. RPG fans can look forward to Breath of Fire 2 Eyes, and there's even the Saturn version of Resident Evil planned. Beyond just games, there are attractions like My Stamp and Super Metal Fighters. The booth promises stage events, playable demos, and even a Mega Man Battle and Chase tournament qualifier. The page features screenshots from Mega Man X4, Marvel Super Heroes, Breath of Fire 2 Eyes, and Mega Man Battle and Chase, showcasing the variety of games on display. Capcom encourages visitors to come and take home a dream. The Tokyo Game Show features a diverse range of titles. Shogakukan Production is showcasing a golf game set at St. Andrews with realistic graphics and tournament modes. Zheng is highlighting Recipro Heat 5000, a speed-focused racer, and teasing a K1 Grand Prix game. Saurus presents Shinoshkin, a fighting game with improved 3D CG graphics, and Steeplechase Winner 2,
a horse racing game with a new original mode, alongside the in-development Action Jockey. Finally, Culture Brain showcases Virtual Hiryu no Ken, a 3D fighting game with tournaments, Pro Mahjong Soldier, and hints at Nintendo 64 titles in development. The Tokyo Game Show Spring Edition features diverse booths. Masudaya Corporation showcases Digzig, a SEGA Saturn puzzle game with multiple puzzle types and unlockable rewards. Daiki presents Jante Battle Cosplayer, a mahjong game with a costume battle theme, featuring numerous characters and behind-the-scenes content. Electronic Arts Victor highlights its software lineup, including playable demos for Fade to Black and Warriors of Fate, along with Monster Paradise. King Records previews its upcoming games, including Fishing Koshien 2 for PlayStation and Sega Saturn, Mario Mushano's Super Shogi Dojo, and the adventure RPG Sorcerer Hunters R. They are especially promoting Doki Doki Poyachio, a love adventure game. This page showcases Fishing Koshien 2, a power-up sequel to the popular fishing game. It boasts being a top-tier fishing game, even popular at the 97 International Fishing Expo. The tagline is, "Fishing is decided by this iteration." Fishing Koshien 2 King Record Cup is being held again this year, inviting players to Saipan. Last year's winners Mr. Obayashi Akihiro from Nagoya and Mr. Irihi Yuta from Tokyo, elementary school student, enjoyed big game fishing in Saipan. The page details 4 rounds in the game. Round 1 is a black bass early fishing tournament. Round 2 is offshore battle in rough seas and boat fishing. Round 3 is a focused point-to-point river relay. And Round 4 is a survival match for big fish. Key features highlighted include super realistic fishing with even more realistic upgrades from the previous Fishing Koshien. It boasts 3D graphics, allows fishing in various environments like Isozaki, Saba, Tai, and deeper oceans, and focuses on catching big fish over 200 kilograms. They mention Daiwa Seiko Company, Ltd's complete cooperation in making it realistic with the newest tackle and reel techniques. The game is available on PlayStation and is currently on sale. The Sega Saturn version is scheduled for release in May, priced at 6,800 yen, excluding tax. Power-up points mentioned are free fishing anytime, anywhere, and co-op play for up to 2 players against parents. This page is an interview with Yoshi Okuyama, who is described as a character designer and a main guest for AAA events, enriching shows with her presence. The interview delves into her role in character design, specifically for show posters, flyers, and tickets used at events, and also her involvement in the AAA charity auction. She was also a presenter at the SESA Grand Prize 96. Yoshi Okuyama recounts how she got involved in character design. She was initially asked to draw a character as a favor, which unexpectedly led to her work being used for posters and flyers. She humorously mentions her surprise at the scale of it, like being told her work would be used for a poster or flyer. She also talks about her childhood and discovering the joy of drawing through exchange diaries in middle school. She mentions not being particularly good at drawing as a child, but she had friends who were talented at manga-style art, which inspired her. She mentions using draw pens and screen tones and exchanging completed manga-style artwork with friends. The interview touches upon her love for games, mentioning that she is a big fan of games, particularly the Momotaro Dentetsu series, which she enjoys playing. She also mentions discussing game strategies with Takahashi Meijin, indicating her engagement with the gaming community. The bottom of the page encourages readers to enjoy the world of games and the AAA stages. Yoshi Okuyama's gaming journey began in elementary school with the Famicom, expanding to various consoles like Super Famicom and PlayStation. She developed a love for adventure games early on, even conquering Portopian's Serial Murder Case without assistance. A particularly cherished game is Mother 2, Earthbound, which she considers the best RPG. Okuyama also highlights her involvement with the AAA charity auction, emphasizing the central role of music in the events, and names several key musicians and organizers. Finally, the interview references a Game no Shingaki poster from the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring. This page showcases the exhibition title information for the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring. It's essentially a catalog listing games from various publishers that were showcased at the event. Looking at the list, we see a diverse range of titles coming to different platforms like PlayStation, Saturn, Windows 95, and even Game Boy and Neo Geo. Publishers like Atlus are listed with titles like King of Spirits 2. Especially Game Arts are showing off Grandia and other titles.
Virgin Interactive has Creatures and Command & Conquer. ArtDink are presenting games like Carnage Heart, The Settlers 2, and Tactics Ogre. Acclaim Japan are bringing Worms, Magic, The Gathering, and other titles. ASC2 has RPG Maker tools and Simulation RPG tools. Xing has games such as Cool Borders 2 and Doki Doki Pretty League. And notably, SNK is featuring a strong lineup of fighting games, including King of Fighters 96 and various Samurai Spirits titles for both Neo Geo and PlayStation Saturn. Below the game list, there is a prominent advertisement for a game called Shin O Ken, which translates to Godly Phoenix Fist, but we know it internationally as Rage of the Dragons. It emphasizes aerial battle and mentions it's on sale from April 4th, 1997. The advert includes screenshots showcasing the game's action and characters, promising intense fighting gameplay on the Sega Saturn. Overall, this page gives a snapshot of the games that were generating buzz at the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring. This page continues the exhibition titles from the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring, listing games from various makers. SNK is showcasing more titles like Metal Slug and Real Bout High School Special. Enix has Mischief Makers for the N64. NEC Interchannel is presenting a diverse range of games, including adventure titles, dating sims like Graduation S, Debut 21, to Heart, which is listed as Dukusei 2, and strategy games. Kadokawa Shuten is featuring RPGs for the Saturn, including Slayers, Magical School Lunar, and Lunar Silver Star Story MPEG version. Capcom has a strong lineup with fighting games such as Cyberbots and Marvel Superheroes, alongside Biohazard, which is known internationally as Resident Evil, and multiple Rockman or Mega Man titles, including Rockman 8 Metal Heroes and Rockman X4. Konami's extensive list includes the iconic Castlevania, Symphony of the Night listed as Akumaju Dracula, X Gekka, no Yasukyoku, and Ganbare Goemon 5 for the N64. They also have sports titles like NBA Power Dunkers and baseball games, alongside simulation and shooting games like Gradius Deluxe Pack and Lethal Enforcers Deluxe Pack. Koei Tecmo features their historical strategy games like Nobunaga's Ambition and Winning Post, as well as the early Dynasty Warriors title listed as Sangoku Musu and Angelique Special 2. There are also titles from companies like GameBank, King Records, Compile, and Sunsoft, covering genres from simulations to action and puzzle games. At the bottom, there's a promotional advertisement for 1/10 scale collectible figures featuring characters called Chi-Chi, Nene, and Benton. The Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring showcased a diverse lineup of upcoming games. Jaleco and Shui System presented multiple titles for Saturn and PlayStation. Square highlighted PlayStation hits like Final Fantasy Tactics and Bushido Blade. Sega showcased a strong Saturn lineup, including Sakura Wars and Neon Genesis Evangelion Second Impression. Sega featured 64 titles, while Sony Computer Entertainment displayed various PlayStation games such as Alundra and Ghost in the Shell. Taito presented games across multiple platforms, and Tecmo announced Dead or Alive and Monster Rancher. Namco showcased PlayStation titles including Ace Combat 2 and Tales of Destiny. A promotional advertisement for SNK and Saurus's Stake Winner 2 highlighted its features and pricing. This page catalogs games across various platforms, including Saturn, PlayStation, and others like Win, Mac, and 64. The listings feature titles from numerous publishers and developers, with a focus on adventure, simulation, and action games. Noteworthy companies include Nihon Computer System, Bandai, and Victor Interactive Software. Saturn game highlights include Langrisser IV and Battle. PlayStation offerings feature titles from the Gundam franchise and Journeyman project Pegasus Prime. Additional games are listed for other platforms, like the SFC and SS. The page concludes with an advertisement for Stake Winner 2 from Saurus, a horse racing game released in May 1997 for 5,800 yen. The ad showcases the game's features, including an arcade mode, original mode with horse training, and various racetracks. This page showcases the Glory of St. Andrews, a golf game for the PlayStation, and it's flagged as a title exhibited at the Tokyo Game Show
97 Spring Event. It's slated for release in the summer of 97 and priced at 5,800 yen. The advertisement promotes it as a full polygon golf game, aiming to perfectly recreate the famous St. Andrews course known as the home of golf. It emphasizes the realistic gameplay, offering a sense of immersion and control with features like direct play and system assistance. Players can expect detailed renditions of the courses and helpful in-game guides. This page highlights two games. Firstly, it features Wolf Fang S, which is advertised as the second most popular arcade game amongst readers and is coming to the Sega Saturn. The game, also known as Sky Fang 2001 Wolf Fang, is a mech-based action title and was released on March 28 for 5,800 yen. It mentions it's from Xing and Data East Corp. from 1994. Secondly, the page showcases K1 Fighting Illusion K1 Grand Prix, a fighting action game featuring K1 All-Stars. This game is already on sale and priced at 5,800 yen. It mentions Perex, Daft, and Seto Kaikan Company Limited arcs in relation to the game's development and collaboration. Lastly, the page mentions that Xing will be exhibiting at the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring Event held at Tokyo Big Sight from April 5th to 6th. Advance tickets are on sale at major play guides in the Tokyo metropolitan area. This page is an advertisement for the game Virtual Hiryu no Ken, promising a new level of intensity in 3D fighting. The page highlights the game's features, calling it a heart-pounding fighting evolution with a renewed 3D fighting image. It showcases several gameplay mechanics with screenshots such as Secret Buster, Super Defense, Super Technique, Throwing Technique, and Joint Technique. The ad also mentions selectable fighting modes and emphasizes strategic and exhilarating battles with a focus on offense and defense. It boasts diverse variations of special moves, combo systems, and 3D space usage. Below the gameplay feature, highlights are portraits of characters in the game, and at the bottom, the text details that this is a 3D fighting game planned for release this spring, priced at 5,800 yen. The advertisement is presented by Culture Brain. This page advertises two puzzle games for the Sega Saturn. The main focus is D-Jig Aqua World, a digital jigsaw puzzle game where you can choose from 72 or 108 pieces and 20 different pictures to assemble. It highlights features like orchestral background music that adapts to your progress, and the ability to edit your gameplay into a movie. The game is priced at 4,800 yen. Alongside this, there's Tint Toy, also priced at 4,800 yen, which seems to be another jigsaw puzzle game with a toy robot theme, shown with a screenshot of its gameplay. Both games promise a relaxing and enjoyable puzzle experience on your TV. The page emphasizes the convenience of playing jigsaw puzzles digitally at home. This page is a full-page advertisement for the legendary action RPG Castlevania Symphony of the Night on Sega Saturn. It heavily features artwork of the iconic vampire lord Dracula and his son Alucard, who are central figures in the game. The tagline at the top reads, "Souls of Fate, once more," hinting at the game's epic storyline. Below Dracula's image, it describes him as Lord of Castlevania Castle, Count Dracula, while under Alucard, it states, Alucard, Dracula's son, awakened from a long sleep. There are 4 in-game screenshots showcasing the gothic atmosphere and action gameplay of Symphony of the Night, depicting areas and enemies players will encounter. At the bottom, there is standard company information and contact details for Konami. Overall, the page is a striking visual promotion highlighting the key characters and mood of this classic Castlevania title. This page continues the advertisement for Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It showcases Maria and Richter, highlighting them with their names in a bold, stylized font. The text at the top talks about gathering at Dracula's castle, emphasizing the reborn action and graphics, the magnificent sound fitting for a gothic romance, and revealing the true form of Dracula's castle. It mentions that this 1997 horror action game is a popular entry in the series and is undergoing a grand evolution. Below, bullet points detail key features like the super deluxe voice cast for dramatic scenes, a new action style with swordplay and dark magic, and the unveiling of Castlevania's true form through various mysteries. It's touted as the largest scale adventure in the entire Castlevania series. The bottom right corner announces now on sale with a price of 5,800 yen and mentions a music collection, CD, and a comic book are included. The next page showcases the charming and comical world of Konami's mystical ninja series, known as Ganbare Goemon in Japan. We see a colorful group of characters from the franchise, all rendered in a cute, chibi style. Front and center is Goemon himself, wielding his signature pipe, along with Ebisumaru, and other familiar faces from the series, all in a playful pose. This page is likely highlighting the fun and light-hearted nature of the mystical ninja games, a staple of Konami's gaming library. This page is a Konami advert for Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring, inviting attendees to their booth. Konami is boasting a powerful lineup of new software. The advert highlights several key titles across different platforms. For the Nintendo 64, they are showcasing Mystical Ninja 64, Goemon's Great Adventure, Hyper Olympic and Nagano, and a new Gage no Kitaro game. For PlayStation, they mention Poyetter's Point, a party game, and the highly anticipated Metal Gear Solid, with Hideo Kojima himself introducing new gameplay footage. There's also a section promoting Tokimeki Memorial-related games, calling it Tokimeki 97, and it mentions the series and related media, including anime, movies, and drama series. They are teasing new information and developer talk events.
Konami is also holding a DBFM open recording event on March 17th, featuring talk and live performances. Lastly, they plug the Konami Shop, where attendees can buy original Konami goods.
This page showcases a visually striking full-page advertisement for Capcom's Sega Saturn game, Cyberbots: Full Metal Madness. The advert uses dynamic artwork of a heavily armored robot, or variant armor, as they are called in the game, breaking through rubble with a fiery backdrop. The tagline speaks of a desperate battle for Earth's survival, beginning now. The advert highlights the game as Cyberbots: Full Metal Madness for Sega Saturn, a fighting action game where you pilot giant robots. It mentions the release date as March 28th, and the standard price is 5,800 yen. It also promotes a limited edition, ultra limited edition set priced at 55,555 yen, which includes premium items like a serial numbered box, special jacket, deluxe secret file, and original panorama sheet. The standard edition is also advertised at 7,800 yen. The bottom of the page provides Capcom's contact details and mentions the Tokyo Game Show 97 Spring event, encouraging readers to visit their booth. This page delves into the development of Langrisser IV, part of a series called Passion Langrisser Volume 2, and introduces a new corner called Carrier Soft's Illustrators Room, where fan art and developer insights are shared. The page features an interview with Wuki Takada from Carrier Soft, discussing the character Ricky. The interview reveals that Ricky's design went through significant changes. Initially intended to be a joke character, similar to Heine and Pierre from previous games, Ricky evolved into a more serious character during development, much to the surprise of the team who had already completed this scenario. The initial rough sketches are shown, illustrating this transformation. The Langrisser Fan Plaza section showcases fan art submissions from readers QV from Kyoto Prefecture and Koizumi Sane from Fukuoka Prefecture. QV's art features Angelina, praised for its coloring. The Carrier Soft's Illustrators Room presents a reader submission under the name Basel. This section gives a profile of Basel, detailing their occupation as a graphic designer, favorite foods, hobbies including drawing and playing with system discs, and a humorous comment section. Finally, a notice section announces the upcoming release of a Crydrom featuring Langrisser character illustrations, promising it will be available for purchase in March. This page celebrates Capcom and Rockman's 10th anniversary with events like Rockman Day at the Tokyo Game Show 97, featuring tournaments for Rockman Battle and Chase, and a debut of Rockman X4. A Golden Week Rockman Grand Rally followed. The page also highlights Biohazard and fighting games.
Teasers include Next 2i and a Halo Cup recommended section. The editorial team is excited about fighting games, with popular fan letters. A giveaway offers a Capcom Conte Rekka 5-piece set. Reader-submitted illustrations for X-Men vs. Street Fighter are featured, with a focus on Cammy, and discussions about a Crimson Color Holiday Day corner. This page covers Capcom's presence at the 97 AOU show, featuring an interview with 3 key Capcom developers: Noritaka Funamizu, the general producer, Tetsuhiro Iijima, a producer, and Tomoe Makoto, also a producer. They're reflecting on the show's success and popularity, especially for their arcade titles.
The interview touches upon the popularity of the AOU show itself and the games exhibited.
Street Fighter II and Vampire Savior are highlighted as major draws. They mention concerns about attracting crowds and ensuring safety at the booth due to the expected popularity. The developers discussed the impressive 50-inch monitors used for the demos and the positive feedback they received. They also mention the preparation for the Autumn JAMA show, suggesting continued updates and improvements based on the AOU feedback. There's also a mention of Street Fighter 03 and Cyberbots, and the general positive reception of Capcom's lineup. The page also features a picture of a Capcom Conti set, which seems to be a popular merchandise item at the show. The interview wraps up with comments on the energetic atmosphere and the large crowds, and the developers express satisfaction with the show's outcome and the audience's enthusiastic response. The next page features a producer queue and a session focusing on Street Fighter II and Vampire Savior, likely Darkstalkers 3 in international territories. For Vampire Savior, producers Funamizu Suisaku and Iijima Tetsuhiro answer questions about system changes from previous games. They discuss changes to air combos, round elimination, and the inclusion of new characters like Jida, emphasizing his impactful design. They mention that fan feedback influenced character choices and express interest in porting to home consoles. In the Street Fighter II section, producers Funamizu Suisaku and Maki Makoto discuss character selection, with Ryu and Ken returning as staples, while acknowledging the difficulty of choosing from the large Street Fighter roster. They touch on the game's timing sensitivity, blocking mechanics, and super art selection system, aiming for strategic depth. They also talk about animation improvements and the development team's high technical skill. Questions about Necro and Oro's design are answered, highlighting their unique fighting styles. They confirm the game is around 70% complete at this stage, and discuss potential ports to Saturn, noting the ease of 2D game ports. Screenshots from both Vampire Savior and Street Fighter II are shown alongside photos of the producers. Overall, the page gives insights into the developers' thoughts on these highly anticipated Capcom fighting games. This page is all about a radio show called Tengai Makyo, Unkoku Yakojo, or Far East of Eden, Unkoku Yakojo. It seems like they've interviewed voice actors and staff involved with the show. The page is titled Grand Finaler, implying this might be the final recording or episode. It highlights interviews with voice actors like Tomoe Sakurai and Katsuhira Yamaguchi, who seem to be key figures in the radio drama. They discuss the Tengai Makyo series and the recording process, mentioning it was a fun and energetic experience. There are also comments from other voice actors, like Ryuichi Nakazaki and Kentaro Ito, who expressed their enjoyment and relaxed atmosphere during the recordings. The page also features cartoon illustrations of characters, possibly from the Tengai Makyo universe or related to the radio show. It also lists the final broadcast schedule for various radio stations across Japan, providing dates and times for listeners in different regions. Finally, there's a section called Present, which seems to be a giveaway or contest where fans can send in postcards to win autographed colored paper from the voice actors. It mentions sending in your name, address, and phone number to apply. It's promoting engagement with the radio show and offering a collectible for fans. This page is the SEGA Saturn soft review section, and it's highlighting a few upcoming games. First up is Hana Gumi Taisen Columns, which is definitely connected to the Sakura Taisen series. The reviewers are calling it a Sakura Taisen-like puzzle game with falling gemstones, comparing it to Puzzloop. They mention it has voice acting and event scenes, suggesting a story mode similar to adventure games. The lady users group seem to enjoy it, and the overall score is pretty decent at 7.33 out of 10. Next is Professional Baseball Greatest 997. This is a baseball simulation game, and it seems very detailed. They mention realistic batting, strike zones, and fielding. The reviewers liked the realism, especially the player movements and the stadium atmosphere. The Game Mania group seemed really into it, giving it an 8.33 out of 10. They praised the edit mode, saying you can customize your team and players extensively. Lastly, there's another review, but the game title is partially cut off. It looks like it's another sports game, possibly related to baseball again. The guest game writers seem to have reviewed this one, and they give it an 8 out of 10 as well. They comment on the game having a craftsman's spirit, emphasizing the attention to detail in the polygon graphics and player expressions. They feel it's a solid game, enjoyable for those who like perfecting their skills. Overall, this page is showcasing some interesting and diverse titles coming to the Saturn.
This Sega Saturn soft review highlights several upcoming games. Wolfang SS 2001, a robot customization game, receives mixed reviews. Average score 5.6610, with praise for its strategic depth and customization, but criticism for loading times and balance issues. Cyberbots, Full Metal Madness, an arcade port, is highly praised, 8.6610, for its perfect conversion and new content. Sangokushi Kongming Den, a strategy RPG, garners positive feedback, 7.010, for its deep gameplay, accessibility, and engaging story,
despite some clunky battle screens.
The review concludes by noting the desire for limited editions, with expansion RAM, and extra content among arcade game fans.
This page reviews several Sega Saturn games. Daikukai Jidai 2, Uncharted Waters, New Horizons, a sea exploration RPG, earns praise for its depth and romantic themes, scoring 7.33. Pacha Slot Hishuhao Twin, a pachinko simulator, receives a 5.66 for its realistic simulation. Puzzle Bobble 3, Bust-A-Move 3, stays true to its arcade roots, scoring 6.66. Additional sections offer brief critiques.
One game's mechanics are deemed okay. Another pachinko title is considered standard. Puzzle Bobble 3 is seen as consistently enjoyable. Another game feels boring due to a lack of innovation. A final title, praised for strategic depth, is criticized for using an outdated system. This page features reviews for several games. First up is Monster Slider, a puzzle game where you slide blocks, reviewed by female users who found the system fun, but the story mode potentially too difficult, giving it a score of 5. High rollers enjoyed the game, finding it simple to start with story mode, but with strong enemies and puzzle elements, awarding it a 7. A guest writer also reviewed Monster Slider, highlighting the slippery puzzle mechanics and modes, scoring it 5. Next we have Farland Story, The Ruined Angel, a strategy RPG. Reviewers found it overall quite boring compared to the PC version, criticizing the graphics and story, giving it a score of 6, while the overall score was 5.66. Dragon Master Silk, an RPG, is reviewed as easy to play even for beginners, with engaging story and dungeons and party battles, scoring a 7. The overall score for Dragon Master Silk is 5.66. Finally, under the guest writers section, Farland Story is further discussed, with a reviewer finding the computer version unsatisfying, criticizing the character charm, anime cutscenes, and outdated polygon graphics, scoring it a 5. Another guest writer praises a game for its amazing B-grade Nori's fun, emphasizing stress-free gameplay and a nostalgic PC game feel, awarding it a 7. This last review likely refers to Dragon Master Silk, mentioning its simple RPG elements and Demon King's Ambition theme. This page features more game reviews. First up is Graduation Crossworld, a dating sim. Female reviewers enjoyed the scenarios and character interactions, but noted a change in impression of the female characters as the story progresses, giving it a 7. High roller reviewers found the initial part fun, but felt the story became somewhat forced and focused too much on exaggerated female character actions, scoring it a 5. A guest writer discussing Graduation Crossworld pointed out the inability to date all characters, similar to the PlayStation version, and criticized the basic map movement and outdated dialogue, giving it a 6. Next is Ina's Fantasy Stories, the first volume, a role-playing game. A reviewer enjoyed choosing the protagonist's profession and praised the job system, but found battles tedious due to the long horizontal scrolling backgrounds, scoring it a 7. Another reviewer questioned the frequency of battles, noting slow story progression and infrequent combat, giving it a 4. A guest writer felt Ina's Fantasy Stories was too traditional, comparing it to Wizardry-style RPGs, with its multi-scenario structure, access system, and map puzzles, ultimately criticizing the event progression and map design, also giving it a 4. Moving on. Sentimental Graffiti First Window is highlighted as a love simulation game with 12 heroines, emphasizing the artwork and substantial content. Finally, Kuwadia 2-Starry Sky Battle God Uvenray is reviewed positively, praising its well-structured scenario, refined game system, strategic battles, and full voice acting, recommending players to try it. This page unveils secret techniques and cheats for SEGA Saturn games, sourced from reader submissions.
Go! Go!
Go! Players can unlock options like two-player mode and button remapping by earning points or advancing in-game time. A quick trick unlocks everything instantly by manipulating the Saturn's clock. In Tomb Raiders, completing the game once and restarting provides unlimited ammo for all weapons. Zap! Snowboarding Tricks offers character type adjustments in race mode by holding L and R buttons during character selection. A reader submission contest is underway, offering prizes like games and vouchers for the best cheat codes, judged by Go-Go Girl. This page showcases the new soft schedule for upcoming SEGA Saturn games. It's packed with release dates, game titles, prices, developers, genres, and compatibility information, essentially a release calendar for new software. Looking at April 25th, we see titles like Civilization, Black Dawn, and listings for various game genres such as SLG, Simulation, ADV, Adventure, Act, Action, SHT, Shooting, Tab, Table, Puzzle. There are also some games listed without specific dates, marked as TBD, like The Crow, Grand Dread, and Deca 4, Tough the Truck. Moving into May, games like The Unsolved and Groove on Fight are highlighted. The schedule extends into June, July, September, and November, with more unconfirmed release dates and titles. There are a lot of strategy and action games listed here. It seems like a strong lineup of new games being prepped for release at that time. The page is mainly a detailed schedule for gamers to keep track of upcoming titles. This page continues the new soft schedule, and it's still packed with upcoming titles categorized by release season: spring, summer, autumn, and 97 within the year. In the spring section, we see a mix of genres, including Macross, Do You Remember Love?, Doraemon 2, and Slayers. Moving into summer, there are some real heavy hitters on the horizon. Resident Evil, Doom, and fighting game fans will be hyped for X-Men vs. Street Fighter and Marvel superheroes. There's even Photogenic listed, which is an adventure title. Autumn seems a bit quieter with fewer titles listed, but Guilty Gear is there, which is definitely one to watch, and Wizards Harmony 2 for strategy RPG fans. Finally, for 97 within the year, we have a really diverse range of games. Virtua Fighter Kids for the younger players, Cotton 2 for shoot-'em-up fans, and the intriguing Baroque RPG. It looks like there's something for everyone coming up. This page explores the subtle connection between games and art, specifically focusing on the element of time and what it calls unheard sounds. The article highlights the game D as a prime example, noting how its 2-hour time limit and suspenseful atmosphere shape the gameplay experience. The author, Futoshi Bus, discusses how games like D make players acutely aware of time, forcing them to solve problems under pressure. He compares this to soccer, where time is also a factor, but the feeling is different. He then brings up other games from developer Warp, like Enemy Zero and Real Sound, emphasizing their focus on sound as a crucial design element. The article suggests that unheard sounds and the way games manipulate time are artistic tools that create immersion and engagement, especially in horror games, and contribute to their artistic merit beyond just simple entertainment. Essentially, it's about how these elements become part of the artistic expression within video games. This page is showcasing a present for readers section from SEGA Saturn Magazine. It's all about giveaways. They're giving away a bunch of cool SEGA Saturn goodies. First up, 20 lucky readers can win any SEGA Saturn game they want that was released by March 21st, 1997. That's a fantastic prize. Then, for the Sonic fans, there's a Sonic screensaver up for grabs for one person, featuring artwork of Sonic and his friends. 10 people can snag a SEGA logo keychain. Pretty neat for showing off your Saturn pride. There are also 3 copies of the official guide for Fighters Megamix being given away. Perfect for mastering all those crazy characters and moves. For anime fans, they're offering 3 copies of Tenchi Muyo, Ryuki Software, likely the game based on the popular series. Finally, 3 people can win a Virtual Striker 2 sports towel ideal for wiping away sweat after an intense match in that classic football game. To enter, you need to send in an application postcard, and the deadline is April 4th, which must be the postage date. If you have any questions, you can call them at 03-564-28185, but only between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. It also mentions the SEGA Saturn magazine will be released on March 28th, and that the next issue, featuring big new title scoops, will be out on April 11th.
So lots of exciting stuff coming up for Sega Saturn fans.
This page is all about an Advan Goods present campaign where they're giving away 100 prizes in total. You could win some cool Advan branded stuff like a racing helmet, stadium jumper jackets, a director's chair, sportswear, a cap, and even a keychain. It's an advert for the Sega Saturn racing game Touge King the Spirits 2, set to be released on April 18th for 5,800 yen. The game supports racing controllers and also multi-controllers for 12 players. There's also an advert for the Atlas JTCC video series, with 3 volumes of racing videos available, each costing 3,300 yen. If you want to enter the Advan giveaway, you need to send in an application postcard.
This page is showcasing the Sega Saturn game Groove On Fight. The artwork is really striking, featuring a central character who looks like he's ready for a scrap, all bare-chested and tough-looking in orange trousers and boots. Around him, you get glimpses of other characters in a cool, almost comic book panel-style layout. The text next to the title reads something like, "Ah, the tribe's fight begins again," hinting at the game's storyline, perhaps focusing on gang warfare or something similar. It's illustrated by Renji Murata and published by Atlas, so you know it's got style and quality. Groove On Fight is definitely one to watch for fighting game fans on the Saturn. This page is a straightforward announcement for the game Real Sound hitting the Sega Saturn. It's bold and simple, just stating Real Sound in big letters and then underneath in Japanese, confirming it's Real Sound appearing on Sega Saturn. You've also got the www.a.ar.p logo up in the corner, hinting at who's behind this game. It's a clean, minimal page, focusing all attention on the game title and platform.